This is TNT Sports, home of NASCAR's Race to the Championship. This is the Discover Card Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
At short tracks all across the country, Saturday night is race night. And that's why 102,000 fans have come to Richmond, Virginia. It's just another Saturday night short track race with 43 Winston Cup stars and $1 million on the line. This is the real thing. It's no cartoon. The Winston Cup Series visits Virginia with a focus on one man.
Now just whose would that be?
That's my boy!
Four-time Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon races into Richmond looking for his third straight win after tearing up the competition at Bristol and Darlington. Sterling Marlin still holds the point lead. But there are plenty of championship challengers anxious to make a run to the top.
That was a close call.
400 laps at this track require concentration and cat-like reflexes. The race to the championship continues, and this evening you'll see why every fan wants a ticket to Richmond.
Hey, I need a ticket. Why can't I get a ticket? Hey, Buster, hit the theme music, would you?
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot of time!
TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Tonight, it's the Chevy Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. It is one of the most popular stops on the circuit, Richmond International Raceway in Virginia. 400 laps on a 3/4 mile track under the lights. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Richmond. I'm Bill Weber. Any race on this track is a blast for the fans, but you put it under the lights and the action gets even more intense. This should be a perfect example of that. An all-rookie front row. Jeff Gordon going for his third consecutive win. 5 guys chasing a $1 million bonus, and I'm sure you'll remember there were some pretty wild moments here a year ago. There's also that race to the championship thing. 167 points from 1st to 5th. Sterling Marlin leads second place Jeff Gordon by 91 points. In 33 races at this track, Sterling has never finished higher than 4th. And in the last 20 races, Sterling has just 3 top 10s. Gordon has raced here 19 times, 13 top 10s, and a couple of wins. Sterling Marlin starts 32nd. Jeff Gordon qualified 10th, but will have to start at the rear of the field in a backup car after crashing here on Friday. Let's get that story first, and here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, Jeff Gordon's been beating up on everybody like a bully in the schoolyard the last few weeks, but if you're going to do it tonight for the third straight win, Jeff, you got to do it from 43rd. Can you pull that off?
I think we can. I mean, we had a strong car yesterday in happy hour. I kind of was the guy getting beat up yesterday in a lot of different ways, but it was an interesting day. But you know, we qualified well, and we put a similar setup underneath this new car. It reacted real well, ran fast, got a lot of track position to make up. But this team's on top of their game right now, so we got to see what we're made of tonight.
Well, in May, Tony Stewart started last and won. Jeff Gordon's trying to do the same thing tonight. Dave Burns.
Marty, though Sterling Marlin qualified 32nd, he will start ahead of Jeff. Sterling, can you finish ahead of him and stop this points bleeding that's happened the last couple of weeks?
Well, I hope we can. Jeff is looks like he's running pretty good. We changed some stuff on the Coors Light Dodge this morning, and we're real good on long runs. Not too good on short goes, but hopefully it'll stay green a long way, and you can survive and try to get us another top 5 finish.
All right, if he gets his first Richmond win tonight, he's eligible for 2 bonuses that'll give him an even additional over $1.2 million. To Matt Yoakum.
Dave, Jimmy Johnson leads the all-rookie front row. Back in the spring, he crashed while trying to take the lead from Jimmy Spencer. Same race cars back in the spring. You found your missing mojo at Darlington. Can you find victory lane tonight, Jimmy?
I hope so. You know, the team's been doing an awesome job. Chad Knaus and the guys have been preparing awesome race cars. The motors at the shop, the chassis department, I mean, everything's in place and everything's working well. We got through a Friday without tearing up a race car, so I'm happy about that, and I know the boys in the fab shop are. So things are good with the Los Monte Carlo. Want to say hi to Pops. I know he's back at home and wishing he was here and feeling a little under the weather, but life is good, Matt, and we're going to have some fun with Los Monte Carlo tonight.
That race car came out of the Jeff Gordon stable. Last 3 starts, a pole, a first, and a second. He's hoping to add to that rich racing history. Bill?
Thanks, Matt. In this race 1 year ago, Kevin Harvick finished second by 0.8 of a second to Ricky Rudd. Those two played bumper cars in the closing laps before Rudd went to victory lane. 11 races ago, Kevin Harvick was 35th in points and winless. Since then, he has won at Chicago and climbed to 21st in points. He has 6 top 10s in his last 8 races, and tonight he's ready to go again. Rick will go from the 27th starting spot in the Chevy Monte Carlo 400, driving a Chevy Monte Carlo. And Kevin, where are you at out there?
Well, I'm standing in the old victory lane. I'm trying to take Yoakum's job, so I'm getting ready to get some practice, and I figure in a couple years I'll be able to take over for him.
Well, you've got your own career carved out for you right now. How's that Monte Carlo tonight?
Everything's really good. Just slipped a little bit in qualifying, and everything's so close that you know, we wound up 27th. But that's 5 spots better than we were last year, so hopefully we can finish 1 spot better. We had a great battle with Ricky Rudd last year, and a lot of fun. So looking forward to the same thing tonight, and hopefully we can take Taz for a good ride and wind up here in the new victory lane.
Yeah, now you were second in the truck race here Thursday night, right?
Yeah, we had a great truck Thursday night and just wound up. Got hit in the head already. Already some bumping and banging. Skinner's throwing things at me already.
How many grooves are going to be out there tonight, Kevin?
I did most of my passing on the outside in the truck race, so the grooves are fine. Everything's good, and should be a great race, and the groove should move up further.
Okay, take care of Taz out there tonight, and best of luck to you.
All right, guys, thanks.
Okay, Kevin Harvick breaks from the 27th starting spot tonight in the Chevy Monte Carlo 400. Now, Sterling Marlin is one of those drivers, as Dave mentioned, eligible for the No Bull 5 $1 million bonus. They qualified by finishing in the top 5 at the Pepsi 400 in July at Daytona. Those 5 drivers are Sterling, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Spencer, and Mark Martin. If they win here tonight, they get a $1 million bonus, and so does a race fan. It should be pretty exciting. Still to come here on the pre-race show, the Discover Card Countdown to Green, the Golden Benny. But first, this word from our sponsor. The 9 Chevrolet Monte Carlo drivers carrying Looney Tunes paint schemes for tonight's Winston Cup race here in Richmond squared off in a friendly golf cart competition Friday morning along pit road. Now, Jeff Gordon and Bugs Bunny were on the pole, but in true cartoon fashion, look, Bugs is a passenger with no pilot. Gordon fell out of the cart and almost got run over by his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, and Sylvester.
Jimmy got a little jump on me, but I was beating him going into one. I wasn't about to lift. I was more worried about Bugs falling off than myself. Next thing I know, man, that thing really hooked up. Unfortunately, the seat didn't have near as much grip as the tires did, so.
In the end, it was Jeff Green and Daffy Duck holding off Robbie Gordon and Pepe Le Pew for the win.
Discover Card Countdown to Green, presented by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Team Monte Carlo, the cars more champions depend on. Chevy will be there.
Welcome back to the Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes here at Richmond with Kurt Ritter, the general manager of Chevrolet. What a great concept you guys have put together with this event. Now the second year.
Well, yeah, we call this the rematch because we really want to win this. Honestly, we're not going to sell a lot of cars and trucks here. We're selling a lot of fun, though. And there's a big market for fun here with NASCAR. So we're going to take the fun that NASCAR provides up to another level here with the Looney Tunes characters.
All right, drivers aside, let's pick your favorite character. I would go with Bugs Bunny just because I was a Bugs fan when I was a kid.
Well, I think Wile E. Coyote is mine. And, you know, Terry's up there this race, and we got a good weekend going here with Little Lee last night and Tony the night before with the Craftsman Series. So we're really hopeful tonight in the rematch we can come out on top.
Plus, Wile E. Coyote is fast. Could be a clean sweep weekend for Chevrolet.
Thank you, Marty. Now, we told you if one of the No Bull 5 drivers wins the race, they get $1 million, and so does a fan. Well, just a few minutes ago here at the track, the drivers and the fans were paired up. So now those 5 lucky fans know exactly who to root for in the Chevy Monte Carlo 400. Best of luck to the drivers and, of course, to those fans. They have a chance to win a $1 million bonus, the fans and the drivers. Now, that's cool, but the Golden Benny, that's priceless. Sometimes teams win it because things went well. Sometimes they win the Golden Benny because things didn't go so well. This week's winner gets it for both reasons.
We always talk about NASCAR Winston Cup racing being a team sport. I don't think there's a better example than Jeff Gordon's victory last week in Darlington.
For the pit stop, he was running third. He came out 11th. The reason for that is they had a lug nut hang on the left front tire. It stuck in the gun. That car has been tight since the race started, and they've been working to try and free it up a little bit. They've got it pretty much where they want it on the longer run, so last time they made an adjustment to try and make that car better on the get-go, right after the green comes out. Remember, they had one bad pit stop earlier. They've had several good pit stops.
Jeff Gordon going for the lead on the backstretch.
Never count them out, though. Not this team.
And this is Todd Gant, front tire changer on the 24 car. I don't think there's anyone more in lead when Jeff Gordon took the lead than you.
Yeah, I didn't want to give one away like that.
Pretty tough. What, did the nut stuck in the socket?
Yeah, it stuck on going on. I had one stuck and I had to hammer it out.
What happened?
I just got a little impatient, I reckon.
Trying too hard.
Yeah.
Robbie Loomis, crew chief. How many? Yeah, you can do that.
Like that right there, you know. Hey, Benny, we have a special award for you tonight. You do? We appreciate this Benny award. Steve, you got the award for him?
What?
Right there, sir.
Oh, cookies! Oh, a chocolate chip, my favorite. How many adjustments you make on that car in Darlington?
I tell you what, we worked on it incredible. These guys all day long, it was just a great effort, and we're looking forward to getting it tonight at Richmond.
Okay, hey, guys, congratulations. Thanks so much. Great job last week. Alan, none for you. Bill?
Thanks, Benny. Now, the Chevy Monte Carlo 400 is 400 laps around this three-quarter-mile track in the dark. Okay, it's not really in the dark. It's under the lights, and that just adds to the excitement. What's it like to be out there? Well, pull the belts tight, because here comes Wally.
Inside my TNT, no boundaries forward here at Richmond International Raceway. Under the lights, let me tell you something, folks. If you want excitement, you got to watch this race. Let's go for a lap here and let's show you how to get around this place. Here we go, first finish line. Down into turn one, you want to drive the car down as deep as you can. Roll off the gas, hit the brake, but get off the brake as soon as you can. Pick up the throttle, hard on the gas. You'll drift up to the wall, and you'll be standing on it as hard as you can. Get into turn three, roll off the gas, on the brake. Keep it right down on the bottom, right here on this yellow line. Pick up the gas, drive it all the way to the wall, back to the start-finish line. If you want action, you got to watch Richmond under the lights.
And that's one reason why they call it the action track, and we expect to see plenty of it tonight. Coming up as the countdown continues, Dave Burns on tires in the tough road to victory lane. And still ahead, NASCAR salutes America. Man, look at all those fans piling into the Richmond International Raceway. This track was rebuilt to its current shape in 1988. There have been 28 Winston Cup races here since then. 19 of the 28 have been won from a top 10 starting spot. The deepest in the field any winner has started, 24th. That was Terry Labonte back in 1995. Well, it is back to school time, and nobody is more diligent about their homework than Dave Burns. Of course, he's graduated now and really has that professor look to him, doesn't he? Well, tonight he has some pretty cagey-looking students.
All right, Looney Tunes, welcome to Remedial Richmond Racing. Last year we tried to tell you about these things, and we're going to try to tell you one more time. If you think about tires and brakes here, you can be successful at Richmond. Let's start with number one, Coyote. Right front camber. It cannot be too negative or you can get in big trouble. You'll have this thing leaned in so far that you only use part of the tire. Not a good thing. You need the whole tire here at Richmond. Tweety, there's no such thing as a bad old race car. I thought I saw you do this last year. If you hit another car and you'll break off this valve stem right here, all the air goes out of your tire, you're in the wall. And finally, don't be the rabbit. Wait a minute. You've got to be the rabbit. Okay. My point is, don't get out there and go so fast that you wear out your tires and your brakes early. Okay? Stick around to the end and you'll be a lot less loony. Well, maybe. That's all, folks.
Burns, you get all the good assignments. Very well done. And he does kind of look like the professor, doesn't he? Friday, a press release stated that authorities are investigating an alleged shoving incident involving NASCAR Winston Cup driver Tony Stewart and a fan after the race at Bristol last month. About 45 minutes ago, team owner Joe Gibbs made this statement at the Infield Media Center.
I'm not even sure exactly what all happened on the other side, but I can tell you that from our side, we had people with Tony the whole way and followed him the whole way. And I think the simplest thing I can say is that all those people have said that they saw nothing out of the ordinary.
Now, this statement was released by Tony Stewart earlier today. I will read you his entire remarks. In the light of the ongoing investigation into the alleged incident following the Bristol night race, it would be inappropriate for me to comment in any great detail until law enforcement officials have completed their investigation, interviewing anyone and everyone who has knowledge about the events that transpired in the moments following the race. I am personally cooperating with the investigators, and I have advised all the people who work with me to cooperate as well. I am confident that once the investigation is complete, I will be cleared of any and all accusations. Continuing now with Tony Stewart's quote, I will say, however, that I did not assault anyone. In fact, I am shocked and truly at a loss as to why someone would make such an allegation. End quote. Tonight, in the Winston Cup drivers meeting prior to this race, Dale Jarrett stood up and said that, Tony, while we know you have some things going on in your life, we also want you to know you are one of the primary reasons 100,000 fans will be here tonight to watch us race. We support you 100%. We'll continue to keep you updated on any developments in this story as they become available. The big news off the track during the week was that Frank Stoddard was removed as crew chief for Jeff Burton. He has been replaced by Paul Andrews, who comes over from DEI. Stoddard said he was surprised by the move. Burton said it was just time for a change, nothing that Stoddard had done wrong, but the team's performance just wasn't up to expectations. Burton is 13th in points and has not won since Phoenix last October. Bobby Hamilton Sr. was injured in a truck race accident here Thursday night. Hamilton broke his left wrist and right shoulder in a hard crash, a multi-truck crash, in the final lap. Bobby Hamilton is expected to miss 3 weeks of racing. Current Busch Series point leader Greg Biffle is in Hamilton's car tonight. Meanwhile, veteran driver Derek Cope broke his right shoulder and left fibula in a frightening crash last night in the Busch race. Cope was taken to the hospital last night, treated. He was released from the hospital earlier today. Our get well wishes to Derek Cope and to Bobby Hamilton. The third driver for Chip Ganassi Racing next year will be Jamie McMurray. This afternoon, Chevron Texaco announced a multi-year agreement for McMurray to drive a Dodge for Ganassi Felix Sabates' organization. McMurray is currently in his second full season in the Busch Series. Sterling Marlin and Jimmy Spencer currently drive for Ganassi. Coming up, we'll take you to the grid, and NASCAR salutes the heroes of September 11th. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Discover Card Countdown to Green on TNT is presented by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner. Burn fat, crush cravings, and supercharge your energy.
Rusty Wallace has 6 career victories here, the last one in 1997. Rusty's gone 51 races without a win. He starts 23rd. Jeff Burton won here in September of 1998. He hasn't won in 29 races. Jeff Burton starts 15th. The defending champion of this race is Ricky Rudd. Matt.
Bill, 2 straight dramatic finishes at Richmond for Ricky Rudd. He won here 1 year ago with a great save, but back in the spring, He was leading with less than 100 laps to go and then was crashed out of the lead, Ricky. What about your chances? Fatback says this car is even better than the one you had here in the spring.
Well, it's a new car. I don't think we run it yet, but it seems to be handling really well. It seemed to be a little bit weak up acceleration up off the corner. Some of the cars are pulling lower gears, a little different motor combination, but I think these guys elected to go for something that's dependable. But it's pretty racy. You know, it takes about 15 laps for the tires to give up a little bit, and our car seems to shine. So I think we're good.
Ricky Rudd chasing his third career Richmond victory. Rolls off 6th. Dave?
Second place. Ryan Newman has finished there 4 times this year. He starts there tonight. What about it? Can you get your first Winston Cup win here, Ryan?
We can. If we will or not, it's a different thing. I mean, it's tough. We were second here in the spring. That's a good thing to look at. The other thing to look at is the race hasn't started yet. So we'll see how this All-Tel Ford runs and see what we can do.
He chases him down into turn 1 on the outside of row number 1. Marty?
Well, Dave, Dale Earnhardt Jr. wore him out in the Busch race last night, winning. Now, is tonight's car nearly as good as last night's car?
We hope it is. We certainly tried a lot of stuff in practice, and we kind of struggled with the car a little bit, but it's definitely we haven't really practiced under these conditions, and normally we run good here, so we got good optimistic hopes for tonight.
I think if the car was legal, he would run that car tonight, going for a second Richmond win and a second win of the season. Bill?
Thank you, Marty. Tony Stewart is 4th in points. He's 162 out of 1st. Tony won here in May. Since NASCAR started coming to Richmond and running 2 races a year in 1959, 8 times one driver has swept Richmond, meaning winning both races that season. 7 of those 8 times, the guy that won both races went on to win the Winston Cup Championship. The only year it didn't happen was 1973, when Richard Petty won both races and some guy named Benny Parsons won the championship. Now, you don't have to look it up, because we did. The countdown's at 0. Coming up next, NASCAR salutes the heroes of September 11th.
This has been the Discover Cars Countdown to Green. Let's go race it.
The Richmond International Raceway in Virginia, site of tonight's running of the Chevy Monte Carlo 400. Good evening. Next Wednesday, our country will salute the heroes of September 11th, those that lost their lives and those that helped to save lives. We are approaching the 1-year anniversary of the attack on America in New York City, in Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon in this state of Virginia. The tributes on September 11th will be sensitive and stirring, a reminder of the heroes and the heartbreak. In reality, we are reminded every day by simple things. Whenever you see a police officer or pass a firehouse, rows of American flags in front yards, ribbons on cars, or maybe just a simple lapel pin. Tragedy can lead us to a time of mourning or motivation. September 11th has certainly done both. Our patriotism has been renewed, our pride restored, our passion refreshed, and our purpose refocused. Today and every day, we remember. We will never forget. That's something we have learned. We've also learned to not forget the people of September 11th. And now, NASCAR salutes America.
I think what happened on September 11th is something that all of us want to put behind us, but all of us also want to remember.
It didn't take long for all of us to say, hey, we're stronger and we're better than this and we can conquer this. And to me, that showed the rest of the world more than anything that we can buy or anything that we can build. You can't build unity.
Just a little guy I am in this whole planet trying to bring joy to everybody on Sundays. I hope that when they're down and blue and they turn the TV on Sunday, they see some good old NASCAR Winston Cup racing. It brings a smile back in their face.
Stand our ground and do what we have to do to protect
what we have every day for freedom and everything that goes with it. So we're with you however you want to do it.
To the people of the United States, thanks for coming together as one. I see a much closer nation now and a more caring nation, and that's important.
Oh, it made me more proud to be an American than ever.
As Americans, we go on. That's what we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NASCAR President Mike Helton.
Thank you, Alan. The NASCAR community will join all of America over the next few days in remembering September 11, 2001. We stand here tonight in honor of all those who fell victim that tragic day in Pennsylvania, in Washington, and in New York City, and to let their families and friends know that our thoughts and prayers continue to be with them and those who are faced to recover and rebuild. To help us tonight, we have two gentlemen who played crucial roles in the New York City. First, please join me in welcoming the man who was the New York City Fire Commissioner at the time, Thomas von Essen.
Thank you. This Wednesday, it'll be a year since the firefighters of New York City went way beyond the call of duty. Their heroism and sacrifice will be remembered forever for the things that they did that day to help thousands of people get out of those towers. On behalf of every firefighter in New York City and the police officers there, I want to thank you. Firefighters, police officers, regular people came from all over our country to help us. We thank you for it. We thank NASCAR, the Franz family, and Mike Helton for all of their support. Thank you.
Our other guest is the man who was the New York City Police Commissioner, Bernard Carrick.
On September 11th last year, we lost 23 New York City police officers, 343 firefighters, and 37 Port Authority cops. This year on September 11th, remember them. Remember them in your prayers. Stand together and stand strong, and let's send Osama bin Laden a message. His worst is the yet to come. God bless you. God bless NASCAR, and God bless America.
We'd like to introduce other special guests that have joined us here in Richmond tonight. New York City Port Authority Police Officer Jim Cosmano, who was on duty in Manhattan September 11th. Representatives of the Arlington County Fire and Police Departments, one of the first response emergency teams to reach the Pentagon. The 350 soldiers around the Speedway tonight from the U.S. Army Quartermaster Center and School at Fort Lee, Virginia. Founded in 1775, it's the nation's oldest combat service support branch. Tonight's representation of the U.S. military is led by Colonel William Jenks. And while we have a few of the emergency rescue teams represented here tonight, we'd also like to recognize the Shanksville, Pennsylvania Rescue and Recovery Teams and the Fairfax County, Virginia and Washington, D.C. Fire and Rescue Squads.
The heroes of NASCAR are our drivers, and here to speak on their behalf is former champion and 14-time most popular driver Bill Elliott.
On behalf of all the drivers here tonight in the NASCAR industry, as we reflect back on what happened on September 11th, we realize what our freedom's all about. A lot of innocent men, women, and children lost their lives that day, and we as people realized what our freedom was all about. And I feel like that from my standpoint and all the drivers here tonight, we have a goal here tonight, and that's to race for the men, women, and children who lost their lives and the new heroes that we have that helped save lives that day. God bless. Thank you.
There are 43 flags the drivers will hold on pit road now. They contain the names of all who lost their lives in the September 11th attacks. And to honor those victims, each race team will fly that flag in their pit box for the entire race this evening. Now to perform God Bless America, the Youth Education and the Arts presents the combined brass and percussion sections of the world champion Cadets and Crossmen Drum and Bugle Corps. Now to give tonight's invocation, winner of 3 Super Bowl championships with the Washington Redskins and the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion team owner, Coach Joe Gibbs.
Let's pray. Father, we just want to thank you for loving us so much, for making this world, for putting us in it, for letting us have an opportunity to live in a country like this where we have freedom of choice. Father, as we pause and think about all those that were affected by 9/11, we pray for all those that lost their lives and for all of us that are left. Father, we thank you for the courage and for bringing us back from 9/11. Father, we pray for tonight. We pray for safety. Pray for every person here, and let us all appreciate you, Father. Thank you for sending your Son, Jesus, to die for our sins. We thank you for what we get to enjoy, and help us to enjoy tonight. In thy name we pray. Amen.
And now to perform our national anthem, a graduate of the Juilliard School of Music and member of the New York City Opera, Miss Carla Simmons.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave
turn our attention back to racing for the night. The command to start engines and begin this evening's race is coming up next from Richmond.
The Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes, brought to you by Team Monte Carlo. The cars more champions depend on. Chevy will be there. By Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. And by 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect calls. It's free for you and cheap for them. 102,000 fans poured into the Richmond International Raceway. Some of them were here about 8 o'clock this morning, and now they're ready for the Chevy Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. They've got an all-rookie front row. They've got Jeff Gordon chasing his third straight win, Sterling Marlin trying to protect the points, and 5 guys that are chasing a $1 million, I guess under these circumstances, carrot. Now, here are 3 gentlemen, true professionals, that might have to spend the entire night talking about Tweety Bird. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and Benny Parsons.
Yeah, I thought I saw a Winston Cup champion. Hey, welcome back from your assignment. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Appreciate it. Let's see. Last night's Busch Series race could politely be described as a wreck fest. The Winston Cup race here in May, 14 caution flags, tying a record for most yellows here. So what kind of night are we in for tonight, BP?
We could be in for the same thing. What we have here, we have a situation. Everyone talks about a second group. I haven't seen it yet. All I can see is the bottom group, 1 lane around the racetrack. That is the preferred line, and all the drivers, all the cars will be going for that one spot. And guys, please, drivers, take it on yourself. Don't block. Like last night, Ashton Lewis, he moves over to keep the 24 car behind him, Jack Sprague. They make contact, and look at this. Guys, if they make a move on you, either give it to them, or if guys, you only got 6 inches, don't try to take that spot away. It's give and take. If you don't do that, we're going to have some serious problems tonight. A lot of caution flags. And you know what? Well, we might even have a bump and run tonight.
And BP, we're definitely going to have some bump and runs. Normally when you come here at Richmond, you give the guy it's called the 2-lap rule. And if you're faster than a guy, you come up on him, you give him about 2 laps to give you some room, and then you lay the bumper to him. But if you're going to lay the bumper to a guy, we've talked about earlier in the year, you got to do it in the middle of the corner or getting off. Because if you get into somebody's bumper getting into the corner, you're going to wreck them. So we'll see plenty of that tonight.
Sealer on this racetrack was a big topic of discussion after the May race here. The track applied a coat of sealer to the bottom lane of the racetrack over the winter, then another coat of sealer over it, and that contributed, a lot of folks think, to the bumping and the pushing because there wasn't another lane to go to on this track. Are we going to see that second lane tonight?
Well, the drivers keep saying that it's going to. That they're going to. And we'll go inside our EA Sports Thunder Motion and show you what we're talking about. By a double groove. This is what we're accustomed to seeing at Richmond. Guys going by on the outside like a TNT car, passing guys on the outside like passing Rusty Wallace, and no contact. But we didn't see that in the spring. We did not see it last night. And Wally, you can come off turn 4 fairly easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of room coming out of turn 4. There's a lot of room to get side by side into turn 1. The tricky part is off turn 2. You'll see a lot of guys leaning on each other getting to turn 2 because it's so tight over there.
And another thing, when you come off turn 2, you have to be sure that you're clear of someone. I thought I was clear of Jarrett, but guess what? I came up too fast. I wasn't. Contact. Jarrett's in the wall. And folks, you got to stay on the wall if you're going to hoist the trophy.
Here's what I want to see at the end of this race tonight. I know I said it last night, you weren't here. All I want to see are Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon near each other as we get close to the checkered flag.
There's probably about 150,000 other people here that want to see the same thing. And definitely, I'll guarantee it, Jeff will be expecting it. There's for sure. And Rusty's he's looking forward to it.
All right. Now, as part of tonight's celebration of America and American heroes, the command to start engines for this race is going to be given by members of our armed forces that are presently serving overseas in Bagram, Afghanistan. They're live via satellite now back here to Richmond.
At this time, when our country remembers heroes and friends, we're proud to serve the United States of America in the war against terror. We're ever mindful of the events just 1 year ago that brought us here. However, in the months since, we have seen our country come together as one.
The Combined Joint Task Force 180 is honored to give the NASCAR drivers their most famous command. However, we need your help. Tonight is about solidarity. So we want all of you at Richmond International Raceway and everyone watching us on TV at home to help us give not only the drivers, but America. Yes, America. The command to get this night started.
Are you ready, Richmond? Are you ready, America? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, this is great, isn't it? Hope you guys enjoy the race, guys and gals overseas. Glad to have you with us. And we're so proud of what you're doing for our country. And what a sight it is in Richmond tonight. 102,000 fans here, all with the multicolored cards. How about that God Bless America little stunt there with the cards?
Oh, that was so awesome. Stars up in the corners. Almost like they rehearsed it.
Yeah, and they had. It was great. Look at that now. Red, white, and blue everywhere.
Oh, yes. Look at that. That is gorgeous.
Every one of the seats here tonight had a card in it, had instructions on the back. Fans obviously took the time to read it and follow along. And they're a part of what has been a great spectacle tonight here in Richmond. And we haven't even waved the green flag yet.
This has been very, very special 20, 30 minutes.
That is so neat. The flash bulbs going off everywhere. Wonder what that's like when you're in the race car, going around here on the pace lap and the parade lap.
It's pretty cool. You see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
I know you guys are admiring this from up there, and so are we from pit road, but it's constant chatter between the teams and their driver. The crews are admiring the view and trying to explain it to their drivers who only have a limited view here on pit road. But all the guys down here on pit road and the women down here too are just taken aback by the fans and the displays here tonight. Just amazing.
It is a neat sight.
Now I think these guys are just about ready to go racing. They've heard those engines run long enough.
If they're not pumped up by now.
Yes, they are. Unfortunately, I hope they get through the first couple laps because they might be too pumped up. I know I would be.
Waiting for the signal down on pit road to begin rolling the cars out for the parade and pace laps. The field will be headed by a series of show cars representing the entrants in that noble $5 million bonus program here tonight. See the NASCAR officials all standing with their assigned cars, signifying that they've checked the driver's safety equipment. It's all hooked up, it's ready to go. And the car is in proper condition to roll onto the speedway.
And those are the show cars that you talked about. Those are the drivers with a chance to pick up an extra $1 million bonus. And I guess there's the money. Supposedly the money.
$1 million? $1 million. You're supposed to be touching your pinky to your cheek when you say that? Dr. Evil over there?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I didn't know if he saw that movie or not.
No, I didn't.
He looked a little bit lost.
Yeah.
So that's why.
All right, here comes the field. Let's talk about some racing here, starting with tonight's winner of the Bud Pole Award.
65!
Bud
Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is proud to sponsor the Bud Pole Award given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Winston Cup race. Jimmy Johnson won his 4th Bud Pole of the season, which ties in with Bill Elliott atop the Bud Pole standings for 2002. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. Here's the Walmart starting grid for tonight's Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 in all-rookie front row, Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman.
And in row 2, Dave Blaney, his best NASCAR Winston Cup start, and Martin going for $1 million bonus winner at the Lowe's Motor Speedway in May.
Great qualifying effort for Terry Labonte. He's got 3 wins here at Richmond. Ricky Rudd, last year's winners, with him in row 3.
On the inside of row 4 is Todd Bodine. This is the first time he started in the top 10 at Richmond. And Mike Skinner on the outside. Great qualifying run for Skinner.
Talked to Johnny Benson this afternoon. He thinks this could be the night he gets Winston Cup win number 1. Jeff Gordon will drop from row 5 to the end of the field. He's in a backup car.
On the inside of row 6, Robbie Gordon had his best short track finish at Bristol 2 weeks ago. And DJ Dale Jarrett, 2-time Richmond winner on the outside.
7th row, Ward Burton from nearby South Boston, Virginia, his home track. Looking to get a victory tonight. And Tony Stewart won the last race here in May. Started at the back of the field then.
On the inside of row 8 is Jeff Burton. Listen if he recognizes my voice. Jeff Burton. You know who this is?
Hey, BP.
Hey, you got me. Do you recognize the voice on that you're talking to in the pits?
We definitely got a new voice. We're real excited about Paul coming on board. We'll see what we can get done tonight.
How is the car, Jeff?
Well, we've been way too tight all weekend. We were tight in practice trim. We were tight in race trim. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Good luck to you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff Burton starting in row number 8. As we look at the rest of the starting field for tonight's race, Kevin Harvick way back in row 14. A lot of work to get to the front.
And Jeff Green, one of the best cars here on the inside of row 15. And Spencer going for $1 million on the outside.
Championship leader Sterling Marlin right in the middle of the soup as we get ready for the green flag.
Kenny Wallace, Casey Atwood, a couple of young guys back in 17. There's Elliott Sadler, Kyle Petty.
Greg Biffle subbing for Bobby Hamilton. Hope Bobby's feeling better tonight as he recovers from those injuries he suffered here Thursday.
Row 20, Mike Wallace, Brett Bodine.
And Brett's brother Jeffrey just behind him on the grid. In row 21, Tim Sauter with his Winston Cup debut, driving a Dave Marcus car, and Hermie Sadler rounds out the field for tonight's race. Let's get some final stories from pit road. Dave, you're first.
Alan, Terry Labonte qualified 5th. I just talked to him as he was buckling into his car and asked him about happy hour last night. Terry said, I don't know if I'm imagining things, but something didn't feel right. Well, imagine this. If he wins here tonight, it'll be his 4th win in 49 tries here at Richmond. Matt?
Dave, last week Mark Martin fell to 3rd in points, so he needs to pull out a solid run tonight to keep both Marlin and Gordon within striking distance. He already capitalized in qualifying. He starts 4th quick in happy hour. In 2002, 7th most points earned on the short tracks, keeping both Marlin and Gordon in his mirror there. He needs to do the same tonight, chasing his 2nd career Richmond victory in his 1st career championship. Marty?
Well, Matt, Johnny Benson remembers the May race here very well. That's because for the first time in his career, he had to sit at home and watch a race on television because of an injury. That night, he had a great car. Good shot, his first ever win. Tonight, same situation. It may come 4 months late, but that win he was looking for in May just might happen tonight. Bill?
Rusty Wallace has 9 wins at Bristol. That's the track he's won the most times at. He has 6 wins here at Richmond. He likes you to talk about that. He doesn't like the talk that he hasn't won in 51 races. In fact, he's tired of it. Tonight, he is confident in his car and his crew and himself. Then he likes to talk about how the mental part of this game is so important. If that counts for anything, Rusty's already in victory lane. The question is, can he get his car there? He thinks so. We'll see. Alan?
Now the field has run a couple of extra pace laps. If you look between the cars down the front stretch there, something's not exactly right.
Someone, I don't know if it's true or not, but someone down in the pit area told me that one of the show cars blew an engine. They had to put oil dry down, and there you see it. All that down through there is oil dry, and NASCAR wants to make sure that they have all this off the racing surface before they throw the green flag.
You do have that correct, BP. It was one of the show cars they were filming something with this afternoon, and it went boom.
Kaboom.
Yeah. So they're running off some of that oil dry before they send the field into turn 1 at full steam. Let's check on some of the things we're going to follow for you tonight throughout the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. One groove or two?
Well, everyone says there's going to be two. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see somebody pass.
Don't you like that? To groove or not to groove?
Oh, yes. That's pretty good.
Shakespeare. I think they'll be grooving. I think it'll be two grooves.
Okay. Give and take. Please, drivers, do that. Give and take. Otherwise, we're going to have a bunch of caution flags. There you go, Wally.
Run. Bristol payback. Absolutely.
Think so?
Oh, you're just smiling, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Jeff Gordon trying to win a third straight NASCAR Winston Cup Series race. One at Bristol, one at Darlington. Trying to pick up the third tonight. If he does it, he's going to come from the end of the line. He had to drop to the back in a backup car. Live from Afghanistan, our men and women in uniform with us tonight as we go racing at Richmond live on TNT.
There's a Jeff Gordon hand in Afghanistan.
Jimmy Johnson will lead lap one. Ryan Newman in second. Dave Blaney slides into third. Whoa, Johnson loose. Oh, Sloopy.
And there goes Ryan Newman alongside.
Trouble on the backstretch. One car is spinning around. Elliott Sadler is crashed after one lap.
Oh, man.
What's that you guys were saying about giving and taking?
I ain't got no oil pressure.
And off of turn two, especially because it is so tight back there.
And we talked about that in EA Sports NASCAR Thunder.
Ain't got no oil pressure. Don't drive it in. Let them tow it in. Got no oil pressure. Sport, let them tow it in then.
What happened?
There he goes off of turn two. He may have got turned there. He may have got the bump.
Elliott Sadler has failed to finish 3 of the last 5 races, and he's off to a rather smashing start tonight here at Richmond in the early going. Back at Richmond International Raceway, NASCAR on TNT with the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Only got one full lap in for Elliott Sadler when it went bad off of turn 2.
Well, I thought Elliott got bumped, but I hate to say this, but I was wrong.
No, it just came off the corner and around the back goes and in the inside wall. And obviously when he hit the wall like that, something has broken the oil pump belt or knocked it off. And all of a sudden all the cars are too wide and there he comes and in the wall. Boom. Now, here's what I think might have happened to Elliott. Let's go on board and listen to the engine. We hear him come off the throttle. These lockers that they have in the back of these cars, off the throttle, when you're on the throttle, they lock up. When you back off, they unlock. And I think that he ran up behind Kenny Wallace, he backed off, and it unlocked, and around he went. Bill Weber.
Getting ready to come to the green. Chad Knaus is talking to your driver. You were concerned about the condition of the track on the green flag.
Yeah, you know, when they were getting ready to throw the green, there was still an awful lot of dust getting down into turn 1 and through turn 2. So we were a little concerned about it, but, you know, Jimmy did a great job, good start there, good initial start. We got the lead, led that lap, so now we're going to kind of sit back and hopefully right in the top 5. I'd like to take a minute and say hello to Papa Joe. He's back home. He's not feeling real well, and we just wanted to let him know we're thinking about him.
Attaboy.
Got sideways in there.
And Mike Skinner gave. Yeah. He was trying to get alongside Ricky Rudd going down in turn 1. When he saw that Rudd was going to be in a bad spot, he backed off and gave. That's what it's going to take to get us through the night without so many crashes.
Skinner running 5th now, trying to get 4th spot away from Ricky Rudd.
Got it. And I think Ricky gave a little bit on that one.
Exactly. I agree with you, Wally.
Mark Martin next behind Rudd to put some pressure on there. Then it's Terry Labonte, and here comes Dale Jarrett. There's the 88 car to his inside, to Terry's inside. Oh, trouble. Hard into the wall.
Oh,
2 more behind him.
Jimmy Spencer.
And the point leader, Sterling Marlin. Jeff Burton, Spencer, and Sterling Marlin are all crashed.
And that is a hard lick. Jeff Burton is trying to start his car, It won't start. The fuel is down the exhaust pipe, and that is fuel. That's fuel in the exhaust pipe, not fuel from the gas tank that we see the flame.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere, even if he gets it started. Look at the rear of that car.
And Jeff, don't step out because you'll step on a flame.
NASCAR is instructing the drivers to go down pit road with their cars because the accident scene covers up all of the racing surface in turn 3.
Now that was gasoline, and then we got gas pouring out the back of the car and a flame up in the front of the car. Just be careful, guys. Jeff. And there's a radiator broken. All that is fluid from the radiator in the 40 car.
Jeff Gordon's
the rear brakes locked up.
Rear brakes locked up on Sterling's car. Is that what I heard?
Well, I think it was whoever was behind Sterling, maybe.
Jeff Gordon's race strategy may have just changed because Sterling Marlin's car, boy, that's going to be tough to get fixed.
I'm going to be racing for points. He's going to be real careful tonight.
Yeah. Sterling Marlin, the point leader, with severe damage. Jimmy Spencer's okay. You saw Burton get out of his car. You saw Sterling taking off his helmet. Bad night for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Telling you.
And a very short night for Jeff Burton.
Uh-oh. I saw him seeing pain on Sterling's face.
Yeah, it looks like it's not.
Appears to be a foot. No, it's not a foot.
It's like a shoulder, maybe?
All right, this is what we have of the accident. That was part 1. Then behind them, the other two crash.
Wow. Long way behind them.
Maybe that's what they're talking about when Sterling was backing off because of the wreck. Still on board.
Yeah, can't tell nothing by that.
Last car's up against the wall. It's 3 and 4. This place is slick for some reason.
You say it was slick for some reason? All right, the field is being stopped on pit road. They're going to red flag race because there's quite a bit of cleanup that needs to be done inside 3 and 4. Marty.
Jimmy Spencer talking it over with Lee McCall, the crew chief for Sterling Marlin. Sterling has gone into the ambulance. What happened, Jimmy?
I don't know. You know, I saw the 99 car and everybody checked up, and I checked up, and it was just a chain reaction for us. Sterling and me teammates, and we were in the Winston Noble Million. And now we're the first car's out, so just part of it, you know. Team Target had a really good car here. I was excited about tonight going for the million, and Sterling leading the points is really going to hurt him. But we'll rebound next week at New Hampshire.
A lot of people talking about the track slick. Was it really slick out there?
Slick ain't the word for it. It was, I can't believe, I ain't going to say anything.
All right, Jimmy, the discretion, the better part of valor right there as Jimmy heads off to the hauler.
Under the red flag, early here in Richmond, 11 laps complete, and the championship leader, Sterling Marlin, has crashed heavily.
21.
You're watching NASCAR on TNT. We are live in Afghanistan having a great time watching the race. And Nathan, I understand that you have somebody back home that you want to say hello to?
Yes, I'd like to say hi to my wife, Joy, and my new baby, Natalie. Hey, honey, I got to go. I got to send it back to Alan.
All right, Nathan. How about that? 4:45 in the morning, and they're watching a NASCAR race with us.
Pretty cool.
Glad to have every one of them joining us tonight for our coverage of NASCAR, and we sure do appreciate everything they're doing for our country. Well, here in Richmond,
we got a mess.
We've got a mess. Yeah. Matt?
Well, Jeff Burton has walked out of the infield care center. Jeff, what happened?
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I really don't know. I drove in a corner there. My car really felt good the few laps before, and I drove in the corner, and I don't think anybody hit me or anything. I just think I just got around on me, and I backed in the corner really hard, and I saw Sterling hit head on real hard, but
he's real sore, but I think he's okay.
Now, a lot of drivers have been complaining about the bottom groove, that it was oiled down earlier today from a show car. Did you feel that slipperiness out there too?
I'm not going to blame anything on that. I got in the corner, and next thing I know, I was going backwards. And but I don't know why that is. Like I said, I don't think anybody got into me. I didn't feel anybody get into me, and I don't think anybody was close enough to get into me. So it just went around really fast, and it's unfortunate. Car drove really nice. It's hard to tell in that many laps, but short night.
Bad luck continues for Jeff Burton, guys.
Yeah, I'm monitoring a lot of the communications back and forth, teams and drivers and so forth. Our pit spotters are doing that also, and we're hearing a lot of discussion about that strip of oil down the center of the racetrack from that show car earlier. Here's what Ricky Rudd's team was discussing just a minute ago.
Could be okay. Just trying to, the track's real slippery. Just can't race nobody yet. City spotters around this rig telling me, we need to go get settled down for about 20 laps. Then we go race. Plenty of time to race. Track's just terrible shape.
There you go. Talk to the spotters. Tell the drivers, give and take. Let's get the racetrack worn out, and then let's try to figure out who has the fastest car.
While we're under the red flag, we'll check our Wendy's race menu after tonight's action here in Richmond. It's off to New England and the New Hampshire International Speedway next Sunday, 15th of September, live on NBC. Then Dover, Kansas City, and Talladega as we continue to cover the race for the championship.
Look at Junior just as quickly drive up on the outside of Greg Biffle. Unbelievable.
Nobody's had anything for Earnhardt Jr. all night tonight.
So he does not want any changes, but he also said, we've got so much motor, I just roll it in, get it pointed, and it's like game over.
First race, first victory. Feels good.
Oh, no, you did good for your debut there, buddy.
Here's our NASCAR Busch Series update. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 wins in 3 Busch Series starts this season.
And Kevin Mannion, the crew chief, a victor in his first start as crew chief.
Jamie McMurray with his best ever Busch Series finish, and then we find out today he's got a Winston Cup ride for next year with Chip Ganassi. Point standings 78 between Greg Biffle and Jason Keller. Thursday night in Richmond, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series held a race. The accident involving Bobby Hamilton on the final laps in which he was injured. Tony Stewart stayed out late in the race when some others pitted and held off Kevin Harvick for the win. And the Craftsman Truck Series Championship, still a good one, as they get set to head to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, 1 week from Friday.
That's 6 more races to go for the trucks and 147 points between 1st and 5th. Let's try to talk to Jeff Green and see what he says about the racetrack. Jeff Green, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Go ahead, Benny.
All right. We heard some reports. The racetrack very slick. What are you saying?
Them other guys are sliding around a little bit, but this AOL Chevy's pretty good right now. It's just kind of biding their time, and I don't know what happened there to Jeff, but turned around pretty quick, and I guess the 40 and the 41 got in it too. But a little bit early to be doing that. Hopefully we can just march up through here with my teammate. Hopefully get in the top 10 here for long.
Todd Barrier, your crew chief, told me today that this car is your car. The AOL car is very, very good.
It is. It wasn't the daylight. Our main objective here is to keep up with the racetrack. If we can do that, we have a chance of having a good night here at Richmond.
Try to get that first victory, okay, Jeff?
We got to get the top 5 before we do that, but we're knocking on door. We're going to try our darndest tonight, Benny.
Good luck to you.
Under the red flag here at Richmond in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. I know Bugs and the rest of them are ready to get back to racing.
TNT, we're live in Afghanistan. Right now we have one of our biggest NASCAR fans. Nikki, what driver is your favorite and why?
Dave Blaney, because I love the World of Outlaws and I love NASCAR.
All right, that sounds great. Good reasons. Now, we've had a great time watching the race here in Afghanistan, but it's about time for us to get back to work defending that country we love so much.
We lost April.
Where's April? She's gone.
Swallowed up in the crowd. We thank each and every one of you for helping out with our salute to America tonight.
There's that Jeff Gordon hat I was talking about.
There's Dave Blaney. You got one pulling for you from long distance, Dave. Real long distance.
See, I figured the girl was going to be from Ohio. Or never dreamed of being a World of Outlaws fan.
We are under the red flag after the 3-car accident up in turns 3 and 4 involving Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, and Jeff Burton. While we await a report on Sterling and his condition, let's check down on pit road and Marty Snyder.
Well, let's first talk track condition with Robbie Loomis. And what's Jeff said about the track? A lot of other drivers are saying it's really slick.
The track was extremely slick the first couple laps. He felt like it was pretty good there, that last restart. And now they're cleaning it up pretty good again. We'll have to check it out once we go back green.
This obviously could be a big day for you points-wise, Robbie.
We try not to think about that. You know, I caught myself at Sears Point thinking about that and wind up costing ourselves. So trying to focus on the 24 DuPont Chevrolet and get that thing, get Jimmy Johnson, those guys to wait on us up there.
There you go. Jeff Gordon currently sits in 32nd. Dave.
Well, Mark Martin can leave here the points leader tonight, regardless of whether or not Sterling Marlin had wrecked. So, Ben, you guys obviously know that the championship is still within reach. What happens when you know that the leader goes out this early? Do you change your game plan?
Well, not necessarily. You know, this Viagra Ford has been strong all weekend. I think you just stick with your same game plan that got you here. You go out and try to win every race that you can, and you try to run the best you can every week, and wherever the points fall, that's where they fall.
And I understand someone you love is here for the first time at their NASCAR race, first NASCAR race?
Yeah, my newborn son is here. Little baby Dylan is with my wife. One of the lounges, the haulers, watching the race.
All right, they wouldn't issue him a garage pass, but Dylan Mark is here watching the race, I guess. He's probably sleeping now.
They've just fired up the cars. They'll be rolling them back out onto the speedway shortly. So let's take a break and come back for the restart. Hopefully we can get this thing going tonight and get some racing in.
Did he do the crime?
Right there in black and white.
He was murdered. Law and Order. You know you love it. Now see it weeknights at 7. Cable's only destination for Law and Order is now TNT.
They're coming around to the green flag. Matt Yoakum is at the Infield Care Center. Matt.
Al Shuford has walked out of the Infield Care Center. He's a team trainer for Chip Ganassi Racing. Al, how is Sterling?
Matt, we've assessed the situation inside. He's got a chest contusion, which is right in the middle of his chest, and he's got a little bit of spasms on both sides of his shoulders, but no broken bones.
Did he say what happened?
No, he didn't really say what happened because it all happened like a split second, so we're still trying to assess exactly what happened. Quick as we do, we'll let you know.
Over the past 10 races, Sterling Marlin has only gained points in 4. Looks like that bad luck trend could continue. We're green.
Finally back racing after a 16-minute red flag. Ryan Newman is the leader. Jimmy Johnson is second. Dave Blaney is third. Mike Skinner is holding down 4th spot.
And I tell you what, Dave Blaney was very impressive going on the outside in 1 and 2 that time.
Here he comes to the inside of Johnson. Second place. Give and take, give and take.
That's what I'm talking about, Kenny. Give the guys there. Let them have some room.
Sterling Marlin's car has just been reported.
Oh, trouble!
Terry Labonte. Todd Bodine. Terry got the worst of it, by far.
Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to scare you.
A lot of guys went to the pits. Went through pit lane, which was good because there's a bunch of cars still going fast, and about 8 of them went down pit lane.
They will not roll because of shit.
Pretty bad, Terry.
Oh, yeah. Look out.
Yeah, I guess it is.
They all go watch on the TV and they
Well,
see.
we're back to the garage. We're going to fix this thing.
Jim Long, the crew chief.
A lot of fixing there.
Jim, yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have a job to do if you're going to get that back on the racetrack.
They got, believe it or not, they got 3 wide going down in turn 3. There's Tony Stewart. And somehow the 26 car of Todd Bodine makes contact with the 5 of Terry Labonte. Look at all these cars coming down pit road.
Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. just snuck through there.
There's Jeff Gordon going by on the outside of Terry Labonte. On board the Rusty Wallace Miller Lite car.
Back her down. Back her down. Back her down. Practice.
Wow, that was pretty close. Almost ran in the inside wall.
Just 17 laps complete. Sterling Marlin's car, I started to say as that crash happened, has been retired from the race. He's done for the night.
More drama, more attitude, more lethal than ever.
Taking my right arm for a siren right now.
Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Chris Rock. Lethal Weapon 4. Tomorrow night at 8 on TNT.
17 laps, 3 cautions tonight here in Richmond. Terry Labonte involved in yellow flag number 3.
Take a look here where Todd is down at the bottom of the racetrack. He's on the inside of Tony Stewart. Now, Todd is all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like Terry just came down and didn't know he was there, like we saw in the ER Sports Thunder Motion BP. You gotta be aware of where everybody's at. But Todd was all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack, and he had nowhere to go.
Go on board with Todd Bodine in the Discover card, and just go down the corner, backs off, and there's the contact, and around he goes.
I just don't think Terry knew he was there.
Donnie Wingo is...
Come on, man. Watch the video.
Short track racing. The tempers are already boiling. We're not even 20 laps into this thing.
Bill Weber told us on the commercial break that some of the teams are sending another spotter down to turns 3 and 4 because the 5-spotter talked about not seeing the 26 car. He's down very low on the racetrack, and the visibility, so there's a bunch of people, a bunch of trailers parked over there. They can't see the bottom groove. He never saw Todd Bodine down there. He didn't know to tell Terry, that someone was looking.
See, on the right side of the screen, the corner of the tractor trailers, the bottom
here.
Yeah, the bottom groove of the racetrack is behind that when you're looking from where the spotters stand,
right.
Which is...
Well, you look right here where the cars are.
That's the close-up view. The trailers on the left were the ones that we were looking at across the track.
See the shot here where these cars are? They're down at the bottom.
See, we see those cars are going in the racetrack. They're going around the racetrack, but you really can't see them as they go behind those trailers. That's why they're talking about sending a spotter, I mean, maybe to stand on the trailer in here someplace and try to warn the driver when someone is looking.
And not only that, but Todd's car is pretty much black, which even makes it harder to see.
Exactly.
We're getting ready to go back racing next time. Bobby Labonte pitted. Todd Bodine, Steve Park, Hermie Sadler, Jeffrey Bodine, and Tim Sauter have stopped. Let's get an update on Bobby. Dave?
Alan, he has pitted 2 times. The water temperature is not that bad. They did not hurt the radiator, but they have to get air to it, so they pulled out the front end, took all the tape off the bottom of the grill. They never unhooked the hood because they didn't want to pull from behind and get caught unable to getting the hood pins back in with the short yellow laps, and the field might have put them a lap down. So he's still on the lead lap, having pitted twice.
They should have raised that track bar about 30 times because that car's going to be pushing real bad.
Now, the longest we've run under the green flag consecutively so far, 3 laps. Let's see if we can do a little bit better than that this time.
Boy, I hope so.
Johnny Benson shoved wide. Dale Jarrett taking 6th place from Mark Martin.
It's Jeremy Mayfield in the red 19. Jerry Nadeau in the 44.
It's back at 13th, 14th, and 15th. Dale Jr. running 15th in the 8 car.
He's trying to figure out which one of these guys to follow. Well, it's the 19 car because he clears 44. Junior going to try to do the same thing. That is encouraging to see these guys making passes on that outside groove.
Here comes Rusty. Peek inside of Jerry Nadeau. Rusty in the 2, started in 23rd spot. He's up to 16th.
And that's where it looks like the track is the slickest, is getting into these corners. If you watch the cars getting in, you'll see them really moving up the racetrack 2 or 3 feet. So it looks like they're tiptoeing getting in the corners.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. led 190 of 250 laps in last night's NASCAR Busch Series race here.
I stopped by today and talked to Tony Eury Jr., the car chief on that 8 car, crew chief on the 8 car, and see Mike Skinner going by the 28 car, moves into 4th. Good run for Skinner. But Tony said they wanted to paint that car last night red if they could somehow sneak it into tonight's race.
Tell you what, it was strong. Rudd, Dale Jarrett running there. Let's check back again. Here's Junior moving up another spot. He's going to get 14th away from Jeremy. Check that. Let's put him in 13th spot now. They've both gotten by Jerry Nadeau. Dave, how about Dale Jr.?
Just heard from his pits, Alan. The car is real tight right now, but even though Junior dominated the Busch race last night, running mostly the bottom, he did find out that he likes the top groove here, and he said as much on the radio, saying, I may use that top line, so expect to see him go around cars on the outside.
Check this out. Dale Jarrett working on Ricky Rudd. That'll be for 5th and 6th place.
Usually when you come off that turn 2 BP, the outside car has more momentum. You almost really have to be right next to him coming off of 2 to have any chance to try to outdive him into turn 3.
Mark Martin making a racing lane down on the bottom.
That was very, very close.
The bright orange spoiler on Mark's car.
Oh,
smoke!
contact!
Jarrett's in the wall.
Hard in the wall. That's almost exactly.
The wall pretty hard, Todd.
Yeah, he's got big problems.
That was a slide job there, wasn't it?
That was almost like NASCAR EA Sports Thunder.
Same car even.
Same, yeah.
They're smoking pretty fast. Clear low, clear low.
It's Bobby Jeffries, the spotter. They were racing for 6th place.
They'll be seeing a black flag pretty soon, I bet.
They're keeping an eye on it while one of the spotters has called it into the control tower, and they're having a couple of guys around the racetrack look at it.
Both of them on the right side.
The hood on Ward Burton's car all buckled up.
Here comes Jeff Green. Trying to move into the 15th. He is in the 15th position. About to lose it, though. Jerry Nadeau has gone to the outside.
See how that outside lane looks like he may start to be coming in, BP.
Oh, careful, careful, boys. There. Thank you. Now, Jerry's moving. Junior's moving up, but Jeff Green on the bottom of the racetrack, he's going to try to go by on the inside.
Jeff Green started 29th. He's racing for 15th right now.
And I can't believe Jarrett's car. Oh, Jarrett's car is still out there.
Hoping for a caution.
And we set a record. We must have run 15 laps on the green flag.
You're close, BP. 13th. Does the front of Ward Burton's car look like it's all buckled in? Or is that just that different paint job under the lights? Yeah, he's got some damage there, too. Dave?
Well, Ward, at that last caution flag that we had, Alan, he did have some damage there, but his crew checked it over from up above and from up top of the pit box, and they believe that it's okay. Ward so far has not complained about the handling.
A big concern will be if that radiator opening is closed off.
Looks like it's high enough, but the damage is above that.
Now, I would guess that he's getting most of the air going to the grill in that area, and that doesn't appear to be damaged too badly. Well, we still got this mix-up here between Junior and Nadeau and Jeff Green and Jarrett and Rusty and, well, about all of them.
I can't believe Dale Jarrett either hasn't had to pit or isn't running about last, because he hit that wall hard. This is 4th place. Tony Stewart is on the move. Started 14th.
And he squeezed right through that wreck. That was very close. Takes a spot.
He got fifth away there from Rudd. Now he works on Skinner for fourth. And there's Mark Martin. One of the guys who could win the $1 million with a win tonight. Two of them are already out. Sterling Marlin and Jimmy Spencer. And of course, Marlin, the point leader. A lot of guys can gain a lot of ground tonight. In fact, Sterling has held the point lead since the second race of the season, Rockingham, the last weekend of February. This could be the night that finally slips from his grasp.
Well, this battle still rages on between 8, 32, 44, 88. Here comes Rusty.
Wow, Rusty's really getting after that throttle easily. Almost sounded like he had a little wheel spin there.
And I guess I should add Kurt Busch to that group.
Yeah, he's in the middle. There are the championship standings if the race ended now. Look at that, 46 points to 5th.
Unbelievable.
But as rugged as this thing has been to start with, you know,
it's not over.
Yeah, a lot of these other guys could have problems by the end of the night.
Stewart's car is working down on the bottom so good right now. His car is getting in so much better than these other cars around him. It's just hard to pull up beside somebody when you're coming off that bottom lane. Because like I said earlier, when you're in that top groove, it seems like you have a little bit more momentum getting off the corner.
But sure, that's always Tony.
Oh, there we go. That's, again, and that's what we talked about in EA Sports NASCAR Thunder. Getting off turn 2 is so doggone difficult because Tony Stewart needed to use the entire race plan, but when there's another car there, like Mike Skinner was, a lot of contact.
Ryan Newman is out in front. He has led 46 of the 47 laps that have been run so far in Richmond. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Back in Richmond, Virginia, the championship chase could have a major shakeup. Sterling Marlin's walked out, and his plainclothes Sterling is the night over.
Yeah, it is for me. I mean, if the car was even drivable, I couldn't drive it. Pretty sore, chest and neck. So get some ice, and we'll be fine for next week.
Now, Gordon is slow. This may not be the biggest hit that you might have thought, but when you told me yesterday afternoon when you were starting so far back, this was a major concern.
Well, you know, we started back here in the spring and come up and had a good car. And on what happened in front, Jimmy checked up, and I tried to miss him and turn the wheel, and it locked the rear brakes. And I got into Jimmy. Somebody hooked back across track, and that's the hardest I've ever hit. So hard any football game I've been in. So it's a pretty hard lick for me.
A hard lick indeed. The biggest concern, how hard this championship bite will be, Alan.
And troubles for Jeff Gordon, second in points.
When he came by here, BP, it sounded really bad.
No smoke, though. Marty?
All he said, Benny, was that it died. He tried both ignition boxes. They don't know what the problem is. Sounds like it might be electrical, but the car is not running.
Wow. This is the second car of the weekend for Gordon. They had the throttle hang partially open on a floor padding on Friday during practice, crashed that car in the turn 1 wall, had to pull out this one. And now 53 laps in, he's on pit road when the opportunity to gain points on Sterling Marlin was there.
Looks like they brought out a timing light to see if they've broken a camshaft. See, they're going to spin it over and see if it's in time, like they might have broken a camshaft or distributor.
Mark Martin now stands to be the guy to gain a lot of points tonight. And he's working on Mike Skinner for 7th place. Sterling Marlin has only failed to finish one race so far this season. That was Sears Point where they broke the engine. He's out for the night. Jeff Gordon, it's been since Darlington in March of 2001 that he's dropped out of a race. About that. They continue to work on that 24 car. They haven't pushed it behind the wall, though. So they haven't yet given up and made the determination it's unfixable.
They appear to me to be going to the distributor now. They're taking the air cleaner off, air filter assembly, and the distributor sits down behind that.
And still we watch Mike Skinner and Mark Martin race for 7th and 8th, and Mark not quite able to make the move around Mike. You know, Chris Carrier, since joining this Ford team as crew chief, he's really done a good job with that car.
Behind the wall right here, guys. Somebody run to the truck and keep my spare open distributor.
A spare distributor. You know, Tony Stewart trying to go by the 77 car for 3rd and does. You know, they have backups for all. The 24 car, for instance, has a backup for everything. A spare battery, a spare coil, a spare ignition wiring harness, but you can't run but one distributor. And they've got to take, if that is what broke, they've got to take it out and put a new one in.
Tony Stewart marching forward. He's up to 3rd spot now. He started the race in 14th. Tony Stewart has led 5 of 7 starts here in Richmond. His worst finish at this track in his Winston Cup career is 15th.
Points leader, Sterling Marlin leader, started 32nd. He's out. He's going to finish 42nd. Jeff Gordon, he's off the racetrack. Started in the back of the field because he had to go to backup. Mark Martin still out there in 7th position.
What are you pointing at?
I was pointing at the rotors on the 20 car. Looked like they were pretty red.
Working them hard in the early going. He's trying to get up there. Ryan Newman has caught the tail end of the field. He's about to put 2 boat irons a lap down. There's Brett in the 11 and Jeffrey in the 09. Dale Jarrett still up.
The 17 car, Matt, the right front tire is flat. Slow down, Matt. Slow down. Okay, he's got it down on the apron of the racetrack. I think he'll be able to. No, he didn't have it on the apron. He had it on the bottom groove, though.
Here it comes.
Oh, the right front tire's coming apart.
Your right side. You're going to fly up there right side first. Get the gas underneath it. Watch yourself.
Caution flag. Debris from Matt Kenseth's car.
Yeah, that's the fender off. I'm going to come straight down and get right side and get back out of there. That's boy, come on.
No, he's already lost 1 lap.
Looked like both of the Badine brothers got their laps back, and I tell you what, when those tires come apart, they make a genuine #1 mess.
Lucky so far. Almost looks like that. If he did hit the wall, it bent that body in and probably helped it from that. See that tire whipping around like that? Usually it tears the fender off and the hood and everything.
And a big thing here, Wally, might be brake ducts. See all those hoses underneath there?
Yeah.
But those look intact.
It doesn't look like really that he's hit the wall. It looks like the right front tire just simply went flat. They're trying to say, get in lap. Just changing right sides, and we'll come back to get the lefts, and good idea.
Here come the leaders, lap 69. Marty, you're first.
Ryan Newman comes down the leader, having an outstanding run, leading most of that first segment. Balance-wise, very good. Starts free, gets a little bit tighter the longer he runs. No adjustments. Dave
Blaney has already adjusted his car a little bit tight, so he moved to the high side. It's better there, but a slight air pressure adjustment to make him just a little bit freer. Bill?
Jimmy Johnson is just a little tight in the center, but he's good off. This will be 4 tires and a chassis adjustment. A lot of brake dust coming off those front tires. Johnson won the pole. Took a long time on the left rear, and he got beat off pit road.
Ryan Newman got out first. And it was close. Let's check the camera at the end of the pit road.
Like Tony Stewart got in front of him too there.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It was close.
Yeah.
Jimmy by a nose.
Yeah, you get it.
And Blaney and Ricky Rudd and Mayfield gaining some spots there on the stops. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. It's been a loony kind of night so far.
Back in Richmond, Virginia, Jeff Gordon has pulled the 24 car back to the garage. Jeff, what's the problem?
we've been talking about how long it's been since we fell out of a race, especially due to a motor, and unfortunately I think it's a broken camshaft. I'm pretty sure we're done. Man, I tell you, we were coming too. That thing really hooked up on the outside there and was really strong, and I was just really trying to work my way up through traffic carefully, and it's unfortunate, just every time we get there, seems like every time anybody gets there, we just, something happens. So we're going to keep digging. It's going to be a bad point tonight for me and Sterling, but come back strong next week.
Now we're back to green on the racetrack, but your bad luck has been big this weekend. A golf cart accident, you wrecked your primary car, and now this.
Let's hope we get all out of the way in one weekend. I don't want it to be like this any other weekends, but it can always be worse, but things have been going real well for us. We're going to keep the momentum going on our side. We're just real proud of the way things are running right now for the DuPont Chevrolet. Might have had some bad luck this weekend, but we'll see what next weekend has to offer.
Bad luck indeed, but you can still see the extreme confidence on his face.
Ryan Newman is the leader. As we're back under green after the fourth caution of the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes, there's Jimmy Johnson getting worked over by Tony Stewart for second.
Wow, did you see Tony in that 20 car drive that thing into turn 3 and go by Jimmy Johnson? Man, he is strong, stout, fast.
Gaining on pit road during that set of stops, Jeremy Mayfield in 9th, out 6th. Losing on that set of pit stops, Mark Martin in 7th, out 15th.
We talked to Jeff Green earlier in that 30 car. He must have gained something because I see he's running 9th now.
Ryan Newman, the race leader, has been out in front for 75 of the 76 laps so far, and we intercepted this on his team radio a minute ago about just how well that Ford is driving.
Brakes are really the biggest issue. Can't do anything about it. It's a lot like it was the last race. Balance-wise, it starts just a little bit on the free side, gets a little bit tighter. Doesn't change much at all. Just a little overall loss of tire grip. Car's rolling through the corner real good. Getting really nice right rear feel off of it coming off the corners.
Marty, you add to that?
I can indeed, and the brake problem that he's talking about is a little bit of a chatter when he goes into the corners. Now, Wally and Benny, wouldn't that bother you at Richmond where you use the brakes so much? He said it doesn't make him too nervous right now, but it could get worse the longer the night goes.
Well, I don't know. A chatter to me on brakes sounds like the rotor is warped just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what's making it do that.
And that won't get better, that's for sure. But his car's working so good now, he's probably not using a lot of brakes. So as long as he's got his car handling really well and he doesn't have to abuse the brakes, that shouldn't get any worse.
What was that puff of smoke I saw out the exhaust pipe off the corner in the 12 car? I have to watch that. I saw it came off the corner. I saw a puff of smoke. Wasn't there that time, so maybe I was seeing things.
Okay, you better be concerned with things orange right now. Tony Stewart's closing fast.
Boy, is he ever.
Last lap by Tony Stewart was 0.2 of a mile an hour faster than Ryan Newman.
Well, just show you what Alan was talking about. As we show them miles per hour, as they go by.
123.4, 123.2.
And Dave Blaney, that 77 car, had the 3rd fastest time.
Got one on the wall, turn 2. Greg Biffle looping around back into traffic. And everybody's going to get away okay. Biffle subbing for Bobby Hamilton in Andy Petrie's 55 car.
And need a set of rear tires on that car.
Oh, yeah, he's going to definitely need some tires.
He has brought out the 5th caution of the race. Marvin the Martian will be very, very angry. Very angry indeed.
Wow. He just looked like I don't know, that angle, it looked like he just lost it in the center of the corner.
That's what it looked like, that he was trying to make a pass on the outside of someone, got it in just a little bit too high and brushed the wall with the right rear.
So Biffle will be on to pit road in a moment. They'll get out the Illudium Q39 space modulator and try and fix up that Chevrolet.
The Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes, brought to you by Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you. by Autotrader.com. New or used, buying or selling, it's the biggest, best automotive classified site on the planet. And by the United States Army, an army of one.
Say hi to a member of our crew who's feeling a little under the weather.
T-Bone, if that doesn't put a smile on your face, nothing will.
Tony Marshall down in Atlanta. T-Bone, wish you were here, buddy.
Hurry back. 1 lap away from the restart. Let's check in with Dave. I thought we were checking in with Dave. Maybe Marvin the Martian got a hold of his transmitter.
What would he get it with? What kind of?
The Illudium Q39 space modulator.
I don't know. Evidently, we've led a sheltered life, Wally.
Hey,
I don't have a clue what the man's talking about.
I spent my Saturday mornings as a kid watching Bugs Bunny.
That's what his gun is called?
Well, that's what the thing he had that was supposed to be aimed
a flying machine,
aimed at Earth that Bugs kept taking the little thing out of. And,
all right. Be ready. Green flag.
Matt Kenseth 1 lap down in 35th place to the inside of the leader.
Robbie Gordon in the 31 car tried to jump these guys on the outside. And the 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield moved up in front of him. And so now the 30 car is trying to take the spot away from Robbie Gordon on the inside.
And you know, one of the things that NASCAR mentioned specifically in the drivers' meeting tonight, Benny, was...
Whoa. Robbie was sideways on the straightaway. He must have a flat tire.
I don't know if he is. He's going to spin out.
Looks like the right rear may be going down. I don't know. I thought he was sideways going across the start-finish line one time.
Oh, he's sideways there when Junior got in the back on him.
Something.
Okay.
Alrighty. He just broke traction. Somebody hit him.
Yeah, well, somebody hit him.
And then he got up in the junk and picked up some of the marbles on his hot tires, and now he's fighting to get him cleaned off and get going again. Let's see, that shuffled Robbie back to 16th, and he was racing Jeff Green for 7th before.
And the worst part about it, he still hung on the outside. May lose even more spots.
One of the things about the last couple of cautions is it's allowed Dale Jarrett's team the opportunity to get a look and fix that car. Dave?
That was a big thing for him too, Alan, because DJ reported that he was having trouble steering the car, that the toe might be out. You guys got to work on that, Todd. How's the car now?
Well, he set the steering wheels back where it needed to be, but when he hit the wall, hit it pretty hard. Probably bent the truck arm on the left side, and got the housing pulled back a little bit. So it'd take a little bit longer to fix that. So we just have to see how it goes, how far we get back, and how much time we can afford to spend on it.
All right, he just gave him his lap times, and they're pretty good right now, Alan. They're just trying to be smooth and make fast laps.
Unfortunately, Dale's back in 34th place right now. He's got a lot of track position to try and make up. Caught that piece of Robbie Gordon's radio a minute ago. Here's a look at what he was talking about.
Is that what you call a bump and run there?
That was the bump and run. Yeah. And he did, you're right. He got up in the marbles up there and had a hard time getting after the gas again. And that was March, Bristol.
Here it is.
And here's the bump and run back then.
Robbie was on the back end of that, so they had a little post-race discussion using their race cars coming onto pit road.
And that's what Robbie Gordon was put on probation for, was that move there. He got off probation at Bristol this last race, I believe.
Right. So he's got a clean sheet, so he can go after him tonight, right?
Robbie's running right now in 17th spot. He's just given up a position to John Andretti in the 43. John started 31st. He's picked up about half through the field. While all this good racing is going on back in the pack up front, it continues to be all Ryan Newman all the time. He's led 95 of the 96 laps so far at Richmond. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back at the Richmond International Raceway, NASCAR on TNT with live coverage of the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. You're watching Matt Kenseth get a lap back from leader Ryan Newman.
And I tell you, I was talking to Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, and Jimmy Finning down in the garage here today, and they were saying that 17 car is fast as anyone here. And Marty, I believe them.
I would too, BP, and don't count them out yet. If you remember the May race, Matt got 3 laps down, made all 3 up, and finished 6th. And Robbie Reiser was talking to you and I this afternoon. He said, how stupid am I? The car that ran here in May that made up 3 laps and finished 6th is on the truck. Tonight, we have a brand new race car.
So it's the backup car, the one that he ran so well here with in May.
And I tell you what, the 12 car was trying pretty hard to keep him a lap down because those brake rotors on Ryan Newman's car were pretty doggone red.
So Matt Kenseth is tail end of the lead lap, 3/4 of a mile behind leader Ryan Newman. Needs a caution flag and the pace car to get in front of Newman to come back around and get back in the hunt. It was lap 68 when Kenseth had the right front flat tire, brought out a caution, and got that lap down coming in for repairs.
That's what I'm talking about. See those brake rotors on that 12 car, cherry red, when he goes down the corner? You know that that's not doing things good being that hot.
6th place here. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 just gave it up to Mark Martin in the 6, and here comes Ward Burton around the outside. Clear. Johnny Benson jumping into the mix here too. Wow, look at that brake rotor glow on the 10. Crash on the front stretch. Bobby Labonte goes for a fly-in 360, grabs a gear and keeps going, but the caution flag's out.
And Matt will get his lap back. Matt Kenseth.
Caution flag number 6. Remember, 14 is the record.
And we've been 100 laps, so 400 times 6, 4 times 6 is 24. Surely we're not going to see 20 caution flags.
It's been a bad night for Bobby Labonte.
No, but we'll see some pit stops.
Any leaders? Johnson fakes, Rudd fakes.
Middle back will come in.
Front half of the field stays on track, so let's take a break. Ryan Newman's the leader at Richmond. Back at Richmond, let's take a look at what happened to bring out the caution flag. It was Bobby Labonte in trouble.
The very top of your screen, there he comes off the corner, and for some reason, around he goes, does a 360. Now we're back to green flag racing, and Ryan Newman, the leader, is still leading.
And Dale Jarrett has been on pit road, is just leaving to come back onto the racetrack. He has lost a lap, getting further adjustments made to his car.
Ryan Newman had put some distance on Tony Stewart before this last caution flag came out. But you sure couldn't tell it right now watching that 20 car as he rides along right on the back bumper of Ryan Newman.
Tony's car is down on the bottom of the racetrack, BP, and I think eventually that's going to work in his favor because you can keep your car down on that yellow line. Here, both of them get through 1 and 2 really good, but that last lap, Tony's car was down on a little bit lower in 3 and 4.
Martin, the 6 car, trying to get on the inside of Jeff Green, the 30.
Hey, it looks like some of the lights are out down there in turn 3 and 4. The inside lights, this track uses the lighting system with the outside lights and then the inside that reflect off the mirrors back onto the track. And it looks like some of the ones on the inside down there inside 3 and 4 are not on.
Down there, you mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely darker.
Yeah, that bother you inside the car?
I don't think so. It's still pretty light out. I don't think that'll bother him.
And once again, it looks like that Ryan Newman just slowly starting to pull away from Tony Stewart.
Newman and Stewart clear of third place Jimmy Johnson by about a second. And then Ricky Rudd and Jeff Green making up the top 5. Bill?
Hey, Alan, if those lights go out, that could be an advantage for Ricky Rudd. For some reason, he forgot this was a night race. He normally runs a different mirror in a night race. The mirror in the car here is reflecting the inside lights right into his eyes. It's especially troublesome on the back stretch, not quite the problem on the front stretch. But the less lights, the better it is for Rudd. But these guys run different mirrors at night races because of the way it reflects the light. Ricky just didn't change his.
Ricky running along in 4th spot right now, so it's
unbelievable when you get that lucky and when you forget something and it works in your favor.
Yeah.
All right, now Tony Stewart, he's all of a sudden he's back on the back bumper again. Maybe Tony is trying a different lines. He's different entry, different exit, something.
Well, like I said, his car is getting in so good right now. Eventually, that's going to work in his favor. Because if the 12 car is working up the racetrack and sliding, Tony's going to get under him eventually.
Weber, what's those guys saying in Tony Stewart's pits?
They're extremely pleased with how the car is handled. They made a very little air pressure adjustment on their last pit stop because he was just a little free off. As for Tony himself, the crew says he's very focused. This was a routine day for Tony Stewart, despite the distractions that could be, taking his attention away from racing the car. But after the driver's meeting, he hung with the crew in the garage area, then he got ready for the race. So he's been able to focus on the race most of the day. He wasn't exactly in the best of moods this morning, but has been able to work through that. Now he's focused on winning this race in a car that is certainly capable of doing that.
In case you weren't with us for Discover Car Countdown to Green, we reported that Tony Stewart is being investigated by Sullivan County, Tennessee Sheriff's officers for allegedly assaulting a female race patron at the end of the Bristol race a couple of weeks ago. No charges have been filed. It's an ongoing investigation. Tony said that he'll have no comment because it is an ongoing investigation, but that he's completely cooperating with officials. And Coach Joe Gibbs said that in a pre-race statement in the press room, to paraphrase what he said, that from everything he's been able to find out from all of his people, and they had team personnel with Tony from the moment he got out of the car through the time that he exited the interior of the racetrack at Bristol, that nothing happened, that everything was fine. Or that nothing happened that he considered to be out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I think at this point, no matter what Tony does, it's going to be blown out of proportion. How about it, Bill?
The one thing that might have turned Tony's day around was in the driver's meeting. Near the end of the driver's meeting, Dale Jarrett stood up and said, Tony, we know you've got a lot of things going on, but we've also know that you're one of the primary reasons all these fans will be here to watch us race tonight, and we are behind you 100%. That was followed by applause, and that really made Tony feel much better, not only about himself, but about his peers.
And I think that's probably what Tony is more concerned about anyway, is what his peers think. These guys that you're racing with every single week, it's real important that, you guys, everybody's racing with each other and they have confidence in you.
And I'll talk about Dale Jarrett. All of a sudden, his car has seemed to be slowing dramatically.
Don't forget, he was on pit road when the green flag waved for that last restart. He came off pit road after the field had put him a lap down. So he's a lap and, 3/4 down to the race leader.
And obviously his car isn't working the way he wants to because he's running a line that's totally foreign to any other car here. He's running very, very high on the racetrack. He goes in on the bottom and lets it drift up. So
they were underneath the right rear. It looked like working on something during that caution. Did this way work?
I don't know.
We can get Dave to follow up and tell us for sure. Sterling Marlin's team going home. Marlin involved in a crash at lap number 9. Hard crash inside turn 3. He is done for the night. Right now, he is last in this field. He will finish 43rd.
Tony's car looks like right there when he got real close to the back of Newman's car that he lost a grip on the front.
And Sterling Marlin said in his interview that he was so sore that if they could fix the car, he would not have been able to drive it. But Jimmy Spencer, his teammate, could have driven it, and Sterling would have gotten the point. So evidently the car was just banged up so badly they could not fix it any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Marlin is out of the race. Spencer is out of the race. Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Burton's cars are behind the wall. Terry's has now been reported out of the race, and Jeffrey Bodine has gone to the garage. He is done for the night. No oil pressure on the 09 car.
Tony looks like he's getting right up to the back one, and then it looks like he gets that push on the front of his car.
You mean the dreaded aero push.
We're told the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. slowing down. Yes, he is. Turn 3, coming in the pits. And about for the lead. Too much stuff going on here at one time.
You know, if Tony Stewart gets out in front, based on what we're seeing, how much he's struggling to keep that nose planted behind Ryan Newman, if he gets out in front, he could check out.
Yeah, no, I think he will. If he does get by Ryan, you're right, Alan, because I think that car is working really, really good. He can make up a lot of ground, but then he gets to within that one car length and has a hard time making the pass.
Dave, what's going on with Junior?
Flat right front tire for Junior. Very disappointing. His car was good. He said the track had been coming to him on his only stop. They made a track bar adjustment for a little tight condition, but this is going to put him laps down early on.
Now he needs the race to stay green through a set of pit stops for the leaders.
That's right, because he's now 2 laps down, and if this thing could stay green, all these other cars have to pit and change tires. He'd be back on the lead lap with him. Then hope for a caution flag.
That's Tim Sauter in Dave Marcus's 71 car in his Winston Cup debut. Getting overtaken by the leaders, and that'll put him 3 laps down. Well, Tony's working Ryan over, but not able to get by yet. Stewart and Newman dominating right now here in Richmond. Not yet. Tony Stewart continues to work Ryan Newman over for the lead in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes, but not yet has he been able to make the pass. They're about to put Dale Jarrett another lap down. Let's make our singular call to the pits and put Mr. Weber on the line. Oh, Marty, go ahead. You go first.
I'll go first, AB, because Ryan Newman is out front. Tony Stewart's on his outside, though, and there goes the pass for the lead.
Well, let's see. Tony couldn't get it done inside. Will he get it done outside?
Yes, he did. All right, let's see if he's going to drive away.
That would be the first lead change since lap number 1.
Well, like Alan said, let's go to Bill Weber.
Right, now I get to be first. Take that, Snyder. Just an outstanding race car for Tony Stewart, and as you saw there, very patiently took his time to work his way around Ryan Newman. Again, just a small air pressure adjustment on their first stop, and Tony Stewart, who won here earlier this year, is going for the sweep. Now, Marty, go ahead.
Thank you, Bill. Ryan Newman now is in second, and it's no surprise Tony Stewart got around him in turns 3 and 4 because Ryan says that brake chatter we talked about earlier, a little worse in 3 and 4. He has to finesse it a little more through 3 and 4. Tight right now for him. 33rd career start today for Ryan Newman. More importantly, could be his first win, Bill.
Marty, Ryan Newman is just a little tight getting into the turns, and Jimmy Johnson is just a little tight getting into the turns, trying to chase down Ryan Newman. Now, they've had some very interesting conversations on the radio about Jimmy and his equipment, and we trapped this with Chad Knaus just a few minutes ago.
Let's break clutch. You're doing a great job. They feel okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm using them. That's why I'm asking. If they're not glowing, we're good.
They are glowing. Everybody's brakes are glowing. But, you know, ours are not glowing as much as others.
Well, I'll keep taking care of them.
Now, here's something interesting. The 48 has the #1 pit stall on pit road. That is at the pit out in turn 1, very close to the racetrack. Chad Knaus, the crew chief, can sit on the wagon in the pit stall and see the brake rotors very clearly. So he's able to work with Jimmy and constantly reminds the rookie to take good care of those rotors. Behind him is Ricky Rudd, another guy who's running very well and won here this race 1 year ago. Rudd moving through the field. I just went and talked to his crew chief, Michael McSwain. I said, is everything okay? He goes, yeah. Well, why are you here? I said, I just came down to say hello, and now he's going to watch his driver try and bust a move on the inside of the 48. Not that time. We'll keep an eye on that and go to Dave.
Bill, Mark Martin on his first pit stop lost 8 positions on pit road because Mark had trouble getting around the already parked car of Dave Blaney. But since then, Mark has radioed in and said the car was awesome. In Mark's words, this is one of the best cars he's had here at Richmond. Marty?
Jeff Green having a fine run up in the 6th position. How do you fix this? A little loose in, a little tight in the middle, a little wheel spin off the corner, but his lap times still are very good. He turned 40 yesterday, and I think a Winston Cup win would count as a very nice birthday present, Dave.
Ward Burton's having a good run, Marty. On lap 73, he pitted. He said he was a little bit loose on the throttle. They made an air pressure and a track bar adjustment. Since then, Ward has radioed in and said, guys, that was a good adjustment. Bill?
Rusty Wallace has had a very good race car since the beginning of this race. Didn't have a good qualifying lap. Had to start deeper in the field than he wanted to. But he's been able to patiently move his way forward. Got some good help on a pit stop. Made a little air pressure adjustment because that Miller Lite Ford was just a little tight. Just keep in mind, the rumors continue to grow that Rusty and the Penske boys will be switching to Dodge in 2003. Right behind Rusty is Johnny Benson, another guy who's very pleased with his race car. No changes when they made their pit stop. Johnny says the car now is just a little bit tight. They did actually have a problem when he went back out after making the pit stop because the air pressure was so low and the springs were so soft, the car was actually dragging the racetrack. But it didn't upset the car very much. The 17, Marty, looking to make a move on the 10.
There you go, going underneath him for the 9th position. Matt's having a great run. Lap 104. That's when he got his lap back. He made up 3 here in the spring, and he's having a terrific run right now, Alan.
You talk about coming through the field. Matt Kenseth is coming through the field.
Very impressive. And again, Jimmy Fenning was saying just how strong this 17 DeWalt car was going to be tonight. So, Jimmy, at least you didn't lie about that. You might lie to me about other things, but you didn't lie about that.
Up front, Tony Stewart, after getting around Ryan Newman, has put some distance on the 12 car. Now Newman falling back into the clutches of Jimmy Johnson and Ricky Rudd and trying to hang on to that runner-up's position. All right, let's keep going through the field. We'll go back to Marty.
What a nice run for Jeremy Mayfield. Up in the 11th position. The car is excellent. They haven't made an adjustment on it all night long. And I would think Jeremy would want to run Richmond every time. His last top 10 came in May here at Richmond. Shouldn't surprise you at all that he's running very well tonight. Kurt Busch right behind him, and I think the song is I Love the Nightlife. During the day, his car was terrible. They couldn't react to anything they did. It was very, very tight, but tonight it has come to life. He was a little bit tight before, but on this set of tires, better than it's been all night long, Matt.
Marty, except for the last lap, Greg Biffle has quietly been moving up through the field, turning lap times faster than the leader. Currently in the 13th position. He's bounced back after that spin on lap 81, so the car was just too free. They went back to the settings on the race car, air pressure-wise, where they started the race, Bill.
There was some concern earlier when Robbie Gordon was caught cheating. Oh, wait a minute. That was in the go-kart race with the Looney Tunes on Friday afternoon. Actually, this car has been pretty good. He was just a little tight from the middle off earlier in the race. They tried to fix that with an adjustment on the pit stop. And then, of course, he got bumped in the rear, got knocked out of his spot, lost a few positions, trying to work his way back up front. The 31 of Robbie Gordon. Matt?
Bill, the 23 car of Kenny Wallace currently runs in the 15th position. Not one of his better racetracks, but one of his better nights. His best finish here is 11th, currently runs 15th. The car was way too tight. The track bar adjustment they made has made the car come to life, Alan.
Kenny running in 15th, started 33rd. Behind Kenny Wallace, you've got Dave Blaney, Todd Bodine, John Andretti, Michael Waltrip, Mike Skinner. How about the 77, Dave? He was up there, started 3rd earlier.
That's right, and for our lady soldier in Afghanistan, just wanted to update her and let her know that he only lost 1 position on his pit stop, but since then, he's gotten bumped out of the groove, lost a bunch of spots, and now the car has gone tight in the center and tight off, and Dave also radioed in, we definitely have a brake problem. Alan?
Tony Stewart has opened up an 0.8 of a second advantage on Ryan Newman as he continues to work through some lap traffic. Coming up on Halfway tonight here in Richmond, you're watching NASCAR on TNT. Tony Stewart is the race leader of the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Stewart has led 27 laps now after Ryan Newman led 142 of the first 143. Man on the move is the Deuce. Rusty Wallace just took over third spot. Got around both Ward Burton and Ricky Rudd in the last 5 laps, and he's picked up a couple of more as he moves toward the front.
It looks like he's the fastest car on the track right now.
6-time Richmond winner, and there's the scoring serial on Rusty.
And if these guys start coming in and making green flag pit stops, it's going to be real important. Get out there as fast as you can, because a second or two lost in the pits is going to be, well, it's about 200 yards, 100 yards on the racetrack.
That's math. I'm not going there.
Okay.
Benny Parsons is where? He is at our Team Caliber 360 racer. What do you got there, Benny?
Well, Todd Parrott talked about Dale Jarrett bending the left trailing arm. Let me turn the car over and show you what we're talking about. Here are the trailing arms. The car hits the wall with the right rear, puts all this force over here. Here's the left trailing arm, goes up and hooks up by the transmission cross member. It bends this bar, which gets the rear end out of kilter, and that's one reason that Jarrett's car is so difficult to handle right now, because of this long arm being bent. Okay, yeah. Alan?
He's so strong, he could flip that car over just like that. Green flag pit stop for Rusty Wallace. Bill, this is a little earlier than we thought for some of the leaders, huh?
Yeah, we were just talking about that, too. It's a little bit earlier. Rusty might be looking to get the jump. He also might have a right front going down. We'll have to see here. Flying into his pit stall, but he's going to stop a little bit to the right of the mark. He said the car had been just a tick tight, but was starting to come to him, so they were going to go with no changes in fuel. All of a sudden, Rusty jumped on the radio, said 4 tires, and started heading for pit road. This crew doing the work, getting the left sides on, fuel going in. Rusty's on his way. We'll check the tires.
15-3, that's a good pit stop.
Matt Kenseth also just came in under the green flag. Remember, he had that flat right front tire earlier? He had another one. Here comes Ricky Rudd onto the pit lane. Jimmy Johnson is coming in. All top 5 cars here. And as Rudd comes in, Jeremy Mayfield also on and off pit road. Bill?
And it's a situation that when the leaders start coming, or somebody up front starts coming, you got to come too. So Ricky Rudd makes his way down to pit road. McSwain said the car was good. Don't expect to see a lot of changes on this. Already around to the left side, fuel going in, left side tires going on. Rudd going for 2 in a row in this race at Richmond, heads off pit road under green. Now the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. This car has gotten very tight. They were going to make an adjustment to try and help that out, and they sent him on his way with fuel.
Leaders in, Tony Stewart, followed by Ward Burton, Johnny Benson, and Mark Martin. Come down the pit road. Bill?
Well, it's been an outstanding run for Tony Stewart, and this should be basically your routine stop for the 20 bunch. Going around, starting on the right side. They made just a slight air pressure adjustment the first time. Didn't talk about any changes this time. These teams really wanted to wait till lap 180 or so. Pit, but once you come in, you got to follow. Dave?
Mark Martin is already leaving pit road. Bill, 4 tires, no changes to his awesome Ford.
Ryan Newman is in. It'll be a 4-tire stop. He got tighter the longer they ran. They made a wedge adjustment trying to loosen him up. 4 tires already out on the track.
Jeff Green is now the leader. He has yet to stop. Then you've got Greg Biffle.
There's a battle for the lead. Biffle in that Square D 55 car goes by Jeff Green, takes it away.
Second Winston Cup start ever for Greg Biffle, and he's leading. How about that? Dave Blaney stopped, Dave.
Remember, tight center, tight off for Blaney, so they make a wedge adjustment to the right side, 4 tires. Dave had brakes when he came in. He was able to stop in his pit, so that's a good sign.
There's Robbie Gordon sliding in. Bill?
And Pepe Le Pew, a.k.a. Robbie Gordon, makes his stop in his Chevrolet around to the right side. Going to make a wedge adjustment on the 31, trying to just free him up just a little bit. Been a little tight earlier in the race, got a little more tight condition as the race went along. 4 tires, fuel for him. We go to Martin.
He ducks a little loose off the corner. He wants a little more forward bite. So what he's going to do is take a pound out of both rear tires. That should give him more forward bite. For Jeff Green, who's having an excellent run, he was a leader when he came to pit road.
Now, the ticker at the top of the screen, the guys whose names appear in yellow are the guys who have already come in and pitted under this round of stops. And the guys that are now moving to the front of the leaderboard are going to be out there a little while longer. Greg Biffle and Kenny Wallace and Michael Waltrip and John Andretti and some of these guys all pitted at lap 109, where these other guys that are coming in now stopped at lap 69. So they can run for a little while longer before they're going to have to stop. Remember, that was that caution where from 17th place on back at the time pitted and the leaders stayed out.
Yeah, we weren't sure who was coming in, but about the middle of the pack back came in and serviced the cars, got tires and fuel. So how long can they stay out, Alan?
Well, if they were in at 109, figure 110 to 120 laps from there.
They can stay out for another 25 laps or so.
Bill, how about Johnny Benson?
Well, they've been having an outstanding race, Alan. Just a touch tight off from the center and off. They've tightened it up with air pressure, and they're going to try and make it turn a little bit better with a track bar adjustment. He was in on lap 179, 16.2 seconds for the 10 bunch.
Johnny Benson right now is showing back in 20th place. Now, here's what's important about this stretch of the race, okay? If it's going to be that much longer before Greg Biffle pits, Tony Stewart is a lap down to Greg Biffle.
And Biffle right now is just praying for a caution flag.
Yes.
You know, caution come out. Let me put these fast cars. Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, Ricky Rudd, Matt Kenseth. Right now, I got them a lap down. If that caution comes out, man, oh man, I might be able to win me a race.
13 cars on the lead lap. And everybody that was up front before is a lap down to Greg Biffle. And they need this thing to stay green until Biffle and these other guys stop. That could change the whole race around. Started to say before, second ever Winston Cup race for Biffle, and he's leading. Substituting for the injured Bobby Hamilton in this 55 car. Nice that the politics of the situation worked out to allow him to do that. Biffle driving for Roush Racing and Ford, but they allowed him to jump in this Chevrolet tonight and do the job and help out an injured fellow driver.
And look at Todd Bodine in that 26 car just blow by. But he's 2 laps down, now he's 1 down. But man, he caught Biffle and just drove by him like nothing.
Fresh tires will make you feel like a hero.
Yeah, he's Superman out there.
Yeah.
All right, I wonder what kind of, Bill Weber, what kind of tire wear we having down there tonight?
Well, it definitely wears on the air pressure, BP. Take a look at this, right front off Rusty's car.
Flat.
Look, normally it's like that, but the right front was flat. That's why Rusty came down pit road in almost a panic situation. 4 tires, he got him, he's out. Marty.
Matt Kenseth has had 2 separate right front tires go down because of a situation on his race car. Matt said it is clearly either a camber issue for us. In other words, we're running too much camber, leaning in the front tire too much negative camber, or our air pressures are too low. We have to fix it. After the first set of flat tires, Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, added a ½ pound to every tire on Matt Kenseth's car. After this last tire went flat, he added a pound to all of them again. Matt?
Bill, for the first time in Greg Biffle's career, he enters pit road as a Winston Cup leader. He said the car was good, but the tires were starting to give up. They ended up pitting about 7 laps earlier than Jimmy Ellis had originally planned.
As Biffle heads back out, that puts Kenny Wallace into the lead. Michael Waltrip up to second. John Andretti, Steve Park, Kevin Harvick, Ken Schrader, Bill Elliott, and Tony Stewart, who was the leader before the stops, is still back in 15th, and he's still a lap down.
Now, Kenny Wallace, right front flat. Kenny Wallace, right front flat.
Right front, I think. Hey, 4 tires, guys, 4 tires.
Philippe Lopez, the crew chief there, calling out 4 tires. Michael Waltrip's going to go by and take the lead.
I wonder if
the heat in these rotors is causing some problems.
That could be. Could be melting that inside of that tire. And we call it melting the bead on the tire. Matt?
Benny, you can hear him on the radio. He said he had a right front flat. Right front flat. You know, some teams, Benny, they do run extra vents right on that inner tire to try to cool that bead. You can see those rotors were red hot as they put on the left side tires, and he's good to go.
And bouncing that engine off the rev limiter, heading out of the pit stall. So Michael Waltrip becomes the 7th different driver to lead tonight. Still waiting on this cycle of pit stops to finish. He's got the other front runners from earlier trapped a lap down right now. Tune into the Superstation Tuesday night when the Braves host the New York Mets. It's Major League Baseball's best on TBS. It starts at 7:30 Eastern on Tuesday night. Jeff Gordon coming back out of the garage.
I wonder if those guys...
Caution's out.
Oh, man. Bunch of cars a lap down.
Got a smoker. It's Tim Sauter.
Yeah, he made contact with the wall up turn 4, I believe.
All right, where are all of these guys in relation to Michael Waltrip?
Too far behind him.
Well, Tony Stewart had gotten back on the lead lap. He had gotten by Michael. Rusty Wallace did not. Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth got back on the lead lap. Rusty got trapped. Ricky Rudd got trapped. All those guys got trapped a lap down.
Mark Martin got trapped. Jimmy Johnson got trapped.
Look at all those guys caught behind Michael Waltrip in the pace car. But Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Ryan Newman had gotten by Michael Waltrip before the caution came out.
And Ricky Rudd. Matt, what's going on?
And the one car is in for service, Benny. No chassis adjustments at this time. Walt Smith rolls the tire. He dances around to the front. 4-tire change for Marty.
Michael Waltrip was a little bit loose. He said, I like those air pressures. Give me more of that. A little wedge adjustment to tighten him up. He's already led more laps tonight than he had in his 33 previous races here at a long time on the left rear.
This is going to set up a really interesting call now for some of these other guys that are behind the pace car, like Rusty. Do you pit here, or do you stay out and get on the tail end of the lead lap? Marty?
Well, Ryan Newman's team making a pretty good move here, Alan. They're going to come in for 4 tires. Obviously, one of the last cars on the lead lap. They have very little to lose. It'll be 4 tires and no adjustments. The car's been great all night long.
Now here comes those cars a lap down, including Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd stayed out, though. He's going to go for the tail end of the lead lap thing. Rusty and Mark Martin and Johnny Benson, Jeremy Mayfield, they're all going to come in. Bill?
Well, this has really gotten strange down here. A guy's pitting, guy's not pitting. Here's Rusty, and again, this can all be traced back to Rusty's flat right front tire. He didn't want to pit when he came in, but he had to, and that forced everybody else to pit early. That's why some guys are getting trapped off the lead lap. Rusty's car has been pretty good. Just wanted to get 4 tires and fuel, get back out there, Dave.
Bobby Labonte is still a lead lap car, but he was so far toward the end of the lead lap that he wanted to get caught up with the field before he came in and made a pit stop, because they have a lengthy pit stop plan. Rubbers out of both rears. The car very loose, but the temperatures very good on the 18. That's the motor temperatures after all the damage on the front.
Okay, we're just past halfway. The caution came out when some of the field had pitted and some hadn't, and the running orders all jumbled up. So let's take a break. We'll sort it all out for you when we come back. Okay, let's hold everything. Here comes Tony Stewart to pit road.
All right. He might as well get fresh tires.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose by that.
Got nothing to lose by this. He was the last car on the lead lap, basically. Bill, right?
Yeah,
nothing to lose.
and they were talking about pitting earlier when the other leaders came in, the other guys on the lead lap, and there was crosstalk on the radio, and they never got it all figured out. So after the other guys on the lead lap pitted, Stewart and Greg Zipadelli talked it over. You can either start first or you can start at the back of all the guys on the lead lap with fresh tires and fuel. He's going to get the tires and fuel just a little tight in the center of the turns. He said, that's because I'm running this thing so far. Tony Stewart's on his way.
All right, Michael Waltrip is the leader. Let's take a break here. We'll come back and set things up for the restart. Who's where and all the cars on the tail end of the lead lap. This is going to get interesting here when we go back to green. Under caution here at Richmond, let's check out our Pepsi race recap. We started the night with NASCAR's remembrance of those who lost their lives in the September 11th tragedy 1 year ago this coming Wednesday. And then before this crowd of 102,000, we went racing. It got ugly quick. Lap 3, Elliott Sadler spins off turn 2, stuffs it into the inside wall. He has since returned from the garage. Then, hard crash. First Jeff Burton, then in the jam up, Jimmy Spencer and the championship leader Sterling Marlin get crashed. Marlin is out for the night. He finished last in this race. So Jeff Gordon's in good shape to take over the point lead, right? Well, not quite. We'll get to that in a minute. Then Terry Labonte, trouble in turn 3. Hard crash for him. He's okay. Dale Jarrett gets bumped by Mark Martin. Pancakes the right side of his Ford. Dale is struggling along. He's back in 35th. Here's the trouble for Jeff Gordon. Problems under the hood of his car. Laps in the garage to get it repaired. He's 152 laps behind the leader. Back on track in 39th place. Not once, but twice. This has been the scene for Matt Kenseth. And yet he's running in 5th. Greg Biffle, a little solo slide off of turn number 2. He also has led tonight. Bobby Labonte, a flying 360 down the front stretch. Grabbed a gear, kept on going. Now the most recent caution, trouble for Tim Sauter. On Dave Marcus's 71 car, Gordon comes back on track to try and chase positions and championship points. But it is Sterling Marlin in the garage early here that is the big headline story of the night tonight. We'll be back. Half a lap from the restart here at Richmond in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. All right, now bear with me. I'm going to take you through this, okay?
Folks, you'll never understand this. Go ahead, Alan.
Got 21 cars on the lead lap, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of them are on the tail end of the lead lap. That means they're 3/4 of a mile behind leader Michael Waltrip. The bubble will be over Michael Waltrip as we go back racing. He's way deep in traffic.
Green, green, green.
There's Michael, way back there in line.
There you see the Napa car, the 15 car. Oh, some contact. Oh, and the 15 to the leader. Now these guys going to get a lap back.
Oh, big crash.
That was those water barrels.
Man, oh man, how in the world can that be?
Everybody.
Okay, Steve Park is the leader as the field comes to the caution, and all of those guys that were on the tail end of the lead lap are going to come back around and get back in the thick of things. Ricky Rudd and Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Green and Greg Biffle and all those guys are going to come back around when the pace car picks up Steve Park.
And everybody. Lottie Dottie and everybody's going to get back in the lead lap.
Lottie Dottie.
Oh, yeah. Don't mind me.
You see all these guys, they're going slow because they were going through the accident scene, but they'll come back around as the pace car picks up Steve Park, this time off of turn 2.
Yeah, it's a mess, Mikey.
That's second time Michael has hit water barrels in his career. You remember Rockingham several years back when he was driving the 30 car?
But they're better to hit than concrete.
Oh, I guarantee you. Michael's out walking around, isn't he? All right, let's see what happened here.
Well, Michael just got loose getting off the 2 there.
Looks like he got loose and had to come down the hill to try to save it and made contact with a 19 car. And he hit that same spot that Chad Chavin hit last night, didn't he?
Yep. It's an odd seam in the wall there, isn't it?
Right here. Comes back and backs in that same spot that Chaffin hit.
Stewart just slipped by another one.
Is that gas or water? I guess it's both.
Oh, I hope it's just water.
Well, there's a lot of guys that got loose getting off of 2 there.
See, what happened when John Andretti goes up and smacked the wall off 2, and I think Michael moved down. I don't think he was loose. I think he just moved down to avoid the slower car of Andretti, and when he moved down, he moved into the path of the 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield.
All those guys that stayed out last yellow flag and didn't pit to get on the tail end of the lead lap, now they all get their chance to pit. Bill, am I explaining this okay?
Yeah, and these guys that were so unhappy a minute ago are now thrilled. First of all, for Jimmy Johnson, he's tight. It's 4 tires and a track bar adjustment. They move around to the left side, already around to the left side on the 28 of Ricky Rudd. His car's been really good. McSwain's been pleased with it, so is Rudd. They race off of pit road. No changes for Ricky.
Looks like Ricky Rudd's going to win that battle off of pit road.
So under caution here for the 8th time in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400.
Wasn't that, are those water barrels new? Didn't Chaffin hit that same spot yesterday? There were no water barrels there.
Yeah, that's a good point, BP. So the track put those out there after seeing the accident last night.
Okay.
Good call. Let's take a break. We're under yellow just past halfway here at Richmond. Steve Park, the 9th different driver, now to lead this race. Under caution for the 8th time tonight in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes at Richmond. Big mess on the backstretch when Michael Waltrip, then the race leader, got turned around off of turn number 2 and hit the water barrels on the inside.
He referred to us, the Looney Tunes?
Probably.
This is last night in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Watch Chad Chaffin in the 16, same spot.
And he comes back and hits the wall, but no water. Tonight, same deal. Michael Walker comes down to avoid the 23 car, gets tagged by the 19, and watch this. Water. Lots of water.
A softer barrier.
Oh, yes, much softer. That was pretty cool. Much softer.
But as you can see, they've got the oceanographers out on the backstretch to clean things up, so we'll take a break.
The Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Brought to you by Team Monte Carlo. The cars more champions depend on. Chevy will be there. By New Vanilla Coke. Reward your curiosity. And by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
Steve Park is the race leader tonight here at Richmond as we check out the Looney Tunes leaderboard. No, this has nothing to do with Wally or Benny. The 9 drivers running the Looney Tunes characters in tonight's race. Some of them having good nights, and some of them struggling just a little bit.
Old Bugs Bunny, he's the guy I feel so sorry for because Bugs didn't even get to start the race.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't even get to start.
That's right, Doc. Didn't start the race at all.
No, not at all. What happened?
I failed.
Noel Blank is here with us, who is carrying on the legacy that his father Mel created.
Thank you, Alan, Benny, and all the gang.
You'll forgive me for cracking up because I could probably recite some, lines from the Rabbit of Seville and things like that for you from my childhood, and I'm sure it's such a huge part of your life.
From everybody's childhood. Sure, I grew up with it, but you grew up with it, and, everybody else grew up with it over the last 65 years.
Carrying on the legacy that between the animators and Mel, they brought these characters to life, and they really are characters.
Characters, yes. I see Bugs Bunny was the #1 character cartoon. TV Guide had him as the most popular cartoon character of all time.
We got a guy in the pits. Dave Burns thinks he does The Martian pretty good. Listen and see what you think.
Okay.
Dave?
Well, and the only reason I would even dare do this is because Noel and I did some tracks last year for this race, and he said the Marvin the Martian was okay, so
he does the best Marvin.
Well, see, thanks, Noel, but now here we go.
There was supposed to be a kaboom, an earth-shattering kaboom.
And that's about as far as we go.
See, he's pretty good.
You're making me angry. You're making me very, very angry.
Yeah, sure, Doc. 10 to break if 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
We'll be back to Richmond in a minute.
Oh, it comes.
It's been a strange Saturday night here in Virginia's capital city so far as we work the caution flag here in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Bill,
Alan, I'm not going to kid you. A few laps ago, I was afraid to come up here and talk to Michael McSwain. But you got back on the lead lap. You got your car in good position. Ricky's running 12th, and that car is pretty good.
Yeah, our car's pretty good. It's been a little tight, a little loose. We overcorrected just a little bit that last time. But it's been good all the way around, and back on the lead lap. 165 laps ago would be good.
You have made very minor adjustments, and they've had major impacts on the car.
Yeah, last time we changed just a couple millimeters of stagger and a half pound of air, and it went from a tight race car to a loose race car. So took about half of that millimeter out and about another half a pound of air out. And I think we'll be good now. We'll see.
We'll see. Marty?
Robbie Reiser for Way of Review. Matt Kenseth has a fast car. You've had two cut right fronts. Have you solved the problem?
I think we started a little bit too low on air pressure, you know. It's my fault. Randy here is saying air pressure run here all the time, but obviously it ain't working tonight. So went up on that, and I think we got it solved. We'll see what happens here, but car's been running great. Guy's done a great job on pit road to keep us up, you know, keep us in this thing. So hopefully we got it fixed and we can run to the end here.
Car's fast. No truth to the rumor. They're doing this just to show off. Keep going down laps. Matt?
Marty, Randy Dorton heads up the Hendrick engine program. Your car's gone back out to 24. What was the problem?
We lost we run fiber belts on the front cam drive, and we stripped that belt off. So we bent most of the valves in it. We disconnected a couple cylinders, put a new belt on there to get as many laps and points as we can.
He is in the 39th position. He's about 40 laps to make up the next spot. We're back to green.
Steve Park is the leader. Very jumbled up running order because of that whole sequence of events with the caution and the green flag stops and the rest. It's Steve Park, Brett Bodine, Matt Kenseth, Hermie Sadler, and Ryan Newman, the top five. Then Tony Stewart, Mike Wallace, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Kenny Wallace, the top 10. 22 cars on the lead lap.
Whoa, trouble in the straightaway.
Casey Atwood, 25th place. A lap down.
And no caution flag. No caution flag yet.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's going to be one.
Nope.
What happened? Matt Kenseth and I think the 7 car of Casey Atwood got together off turn 4.
Now this is Dave Blaney trying to get a lap back from the leader Steve Park.
And he does get in front of Park.
So 23rd place. Now, change for second. Matt Kenseth in the 17 is going around the 11 of Brett Bodine.
The 4 car, the 32 car, both those cars are a lap down. And it looks like these cars are going to stay a lap down if Kenseth has anything to say about it.
8 car in the picture there too, Dale Jr. He's also a lap down. Next one on the lead lap is the 12 car of Ryan Newman. And Jeff Gordon has just gone back into the garage.
Because Jeff Gordon's car, as Randy Dorton told us, was only running on about 5 or 6 cylinders. He could not keep up to the minimum speed that NASCAR requires for these cars to be on the racetrack.
Yeah, and he drove it straight to the truck, so they're done for the night. 56 races without a DNF comes to an end tonight. And on a night when he could have capitalized on Sterling Marlin's early misfortune. So both the top 2 in points with troubles tonight, and that opens the gate for Mark Martin and Tony Stewart and some of these other guys to gain a lot of ground.
Rusty Wallace's 2 car we talked about, you guys talked about particularly just how fast he was. The fact that he's now in front of Tony Stewart. Whoever has Rusty Wallace in the $1 million bonus.
Oh, trouble. Kyle Petty on the lead lap.
No caution flag yet.
Still green, clear all around.
Get it fired up and get going, Kyle.
That's going to cost Jeremy because Jeremy had to go down pit lane.
Well, the 77 car was just pleased so the caution flag didn't make up this 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, just in front of the leader, Steve Park, is Dave Blaney. First race that Steve Park has led since Darlington in March.
There we go. It looks like that Kyle Petty gets a little bump from the behind by the 97 car Kurt Busch.
Little assisted spin. Now back to this race for a spot. Rusty Wallace takes 4th from Brett Bodine. Tony Stewart goes with him to 5th.
I think Rusty knows he's going to have to hustle to stay in front of this 20 car.
Check out the championship right now. Jeff Gordon could fall to 5th from 2nd.
But he gains points. He gains points on the leader and goes from 2nd to 5th. How weird is that?
That's a tough day.
That is a tough day.
Noble 5 tonight. The 5 drivers racing for the $1 million. 3 of them are out. Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, all out in accidents. But 2 of those fans are still in the hunt for becoming millionaires tonight.
And the fan that has Rusty Wallace has got to be a little excited right now because he's got a fast race car.
Well, I don't think it's faster than that guy right there. Tony Stewart.
And both of them got to catch a 12 car.
That fan is Tommy Medley of Roanoke, Virginia, by the way, VP.
Yeah, a Virginia boy. Only be fitting that he could win here in Richmond, the state capital.
Stewart squeeze into the inside.
Oh, yeah. Oh, some contact. Almost.
Watch him get in here, though.
This is for 4th place.
Oh, he's using that brakes. Looks like he's going to take that spot away. That was Mikey say.
Whoa, that was a big hit.
And Mikey had a big hit on the backstretch there, looking for the $1 million.
Man, I was so proud of our team. We made our car really good. We were on a different pit schedule, but our lap times at the same point on tires at the leaders' lap times were great. We felt like we could contend with our Napa Auto Parts Chevy, but instead we wound up crashed on the back straightaway. Disappointing. Real proud of the fans and the excitement that was created here tonight for all the folks that were touched on or hurt on 9/11. Just really sad about all that, and I'm glad we were able to show our patriotism and say thanks to the people that are rebuilding lost dreams and memories.
Now they put the water barrel there for tonight. How hard was the hit? Because the back of the car looks pretty bad.
It didn't even hurt. I mean, it was just bounced around. I wondered why I got up in the air, and then I saw it on TV. The water barrels are a wonderful barrier. I've hit them one other time at Rockingham, and no matter how hard you hit, they really cushion the blow. So we need to look at having those in more places, I think, because they really helped me. I want to tip my Napa hat to Stephen Park, leading the race and having a good day back. I'm proud of him and his team. Thank my boys for building my car, making it so fast tonight so I could make my fan stand on pins and needles at least till halfway leading the race car.
You've tipped it twice. Let's tip it one more for the road. Alan?
Okay.
You know, these guys got together a little bit ago. It did a little bit of damage to the right front fender of Tony Stewart's car. Doesn't look like it affected it much, BP, but it is a crinkle there.
And he finally takes that spot away from Rusty Wallace. Now, can they run down? Can they catch that 17 car that has been so fast? Or will that right front tire stay on the 17 car?
And while we were talking to Michael Waltrip, you saw Matt Kenseth take the lead away from Steve Park. So Matt Kenseth, the 10th different driver to leave tonight. He's come back from a lap down and 2 flat tires to pace this thing. 149 laps to go in Richmond. Oh, it's Dynamite Dave Burns making an appearance before the crowd on the TNT Mountain Dew stage here at Richmond today.
How about Patrick, huh? How about Patrick here? Yeah, give it up for him, man. Yeah. All-American
Dave.
boy. How you doing?
Hey, Dave, I'm
A
doing
rock
great.
star
How you
you'll
doing?
not
I'm
be.
doing great, thanks.
So we got a great...
We're under caution here at Richmond for the 9th time in the race, and it was for Johnny Benson.
He's on the outside of the 31 car of Robbie Gordon, and looks like they might have made contact because he does have damage to the left front.
It looks that way.
It looked like he got a run on him, but Robbie didn't know he was there.
Yeah. If you look, it's tough to see this angle, but he's got a lot of, his left front, see all that damage there?
Yeah.
It's almost like he kind of got shoved up in the wall.
Pretty tough hit. Look how hard this thing slaps the wall.
And I would say so, because if you look at that again, you can see the front wheels of the 31 car turn to the right. So he was loose, or trying to save it, so he probably was in the 10 car. That was early.
Oh, wait a minute. That's going into turn 3.
Yeah.
No, but there's the damage. They did hit again.
The telltale camera. I tell you what, Jimmy Johnson slid that left front tire. And I don't know, did he pit?
Lead lap cars that pitted here, BP, Ward Burton, Ken Schrader, Bill Elliott, Jeremy Mayfield, Dave Blaney. No, he did not.
Don't know how much damage that might have done to that tire, the left front on the 48 car, but
Matt Kenseth is the leader. Steve.
Three wide, this is trouble.
Oh, Junior.
That was a wreck looking for a place to have him. It just didn't find the right spot.
Ryan Newman around Steve Park for second. And slowly those guys who were dominant earlier in the race are picking their way back through the traffic to the front after they got caught deep in the field there. Got 141 laps to go. 140 now. And I feel it's the intensity of this thing just kind of picking up out here on the track. NASCAR just sent warnings to the 31 and the 8 to settle their drivers down.
Those two running nose to tail right now.
Well, if you remember earlier, Robbie was a little bit upset that the 8 got in the back of him. So now they're watching very closely.
Yeah, the warnings were for the contact they had with the other cars, the 31 with the 10 and the 8 with the 32, but
these guys did get...
Yes, they did. One did move the other out of the way, yes.
Oh, tried to pull a slide job to the 31 car, and it worked.
Okay, let's see what goes on down here. No payback.
Not yet anyway.
There it is.
Just to let him know that he was there and could if he wanted to.
Yeah. Third place. Here comes Tony Stewart. Working to the inside of Steve Park, but Steve's not ready to give up.
Great run for Steve Park tonight. It's good to see. He lost his crew chief this week. Paul Andrews had been together for a pretty good while, but Charpentier, Bono, and Steve Neal, all the guys pitched in. Looks like they've done a pretty nice job.
Matt. Benny, Steve Park says the car just wants to slide the front end still. But he says these are the best set of tires he's had on the car tonight. They've also told him, look, we've got a good car tonight, but not a great car. We will fix it even more. But just don't get upset when cars start to go by. You just got to be patient. We'll work with it.
Check it out. Robbie Gordon at 31 car. He fast right now.
He is driving it hard.
He is the first car one lap down in 24th place, and he's trying to get up there and get in position to get his lap back should another caution come out. Matt Kenseth is the race leader. 134 laps to go here in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes at Richmond. Back at Richmond, caution flag number 10 is waving tonight. Marvin the Martian is angry. He's very, very angry.
This could be trouble for the Earth, right?
The Illudium Q39 space modulator is crumpled.
Looney Tunes are having a hard night.
Yeah, it's not been a good night. There's
loose off like we've seen a lot of that today, BP.
Ooh, Kurt Busch got a good piece of that.
Looked like Biffle came off turn 2, got up and hit the wall. Meanwhile, most of the cars are coming down pit road. They can make it the rest of the way, right, Matt?
And the one car is Steve Park, and he won here in the fall of 1997 in a Busch race. He'd love to get back on track with another win here. Still pushing the nose. 4-tire change. Marty.
A lot of debate as to whether or not to pit for leader Matt Kenseth. They finally decided to do so. 4 tires and no adjustments. Dave.
Mark Martin's car just a little bit tight. They make a wedge adjustment in the left rear. He almost went through his pit stall. He did not. Bill?
Tony Stewart, just a little snug wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel on the edge of the fuel window.
Looks like the 19 car got out first.
22 car did not pit. Only one of the lead lap cars to not stop was Ward Burton. And he was one of the few who pitted on the caution at 2:54. So 20 laps ago. So Ward stays out. He's going to take over the race lead. And we'll reset the race off of pit road for you in just a moment. 1:26 to go in Richmond tonight. Good, not good, as we look at the fortunes of the Coca-Cola racing family tonight here in Richmond. Tony Stewart, Steve Park, Ricky Rudd, Kevin Harvick having good nights. Not bad for Kyle Petty and Bill Elliott.
But there's more. Not good.
Let's see, Bobby Labonte was in the garage for a little while. Dale Jarrett, his time on pit road after getting bounced off the wall. Michael Waltrip, Jeff Burton out after crashes.
We saw the 97 car get in the back of Greg Biffle off turn 2. Let's watch and ride on board with Kurt Busch. There we see the 55 car go up, and if he didn't hit the wall, he had to jump out of the throttle to avoid hitting the wall. Slowed in front of Kurt Busch. He had nowhere to go except in the back and rode over that left rear. Bill.
Okay, the looniness continues down here on pit road. And the problem with the 26 car, that tire got loose from the 28. Rolled in front of Todd's car, and that's the tire that he hit. Belonged to the 28 team.
I tell you what, that tire, Bill, rolled from pit road all the way around the middle of 1 and 2, didn't it? That tire wanted to go somewhere. It's
green flag, green flag.
They did retrieve the tire, folks. It's not still there.
Back under green, Mike Skinner in the 4 car, tail end of the lead lap. 25 car, Joe Nemechek, tail end of the lead lap. Leader is 22, Ward Burton, who almost got the wall off of 2 there. Ward did not stop. On this caution flag, he had pitted 20 laps before at 2:54. 19 car, Jeremy Mayfield. Right side tires only on this pit stop. He had stopped 20 laps earlier. Took a little track position and just got the 2 tires.
Where are those sparks coming from? Ward's car or Junior's car?
Looks like the front valence of Junior's car.
Yeah, it is.
Junior is now the first car 1 lap down. The 8 car there, he's in 25th place. And now he's going to be the second car 1 lap down as Ward gets by Joe Nemechek. Ooh, Ward almost got the wall again off turn 2. That's twice.
And right now, Ryan Newman, the 12th car, is on the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. A battle for the 3rd spot, 2nd spot.
Oh, 3 wide.
Now they're trying to wreck. Cooler heads prevailed. Folks, this is so exciting, but it's so doggone dangerous. Dave, he can't.
Well, I'm with Tommy Baldwin right now, guys. Tommy, can you take credit for getting him up front, or is this the kind of race that's just going to fall to somebody at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all hinging on the luck. You know, we got a caution and got a lap down before, then got it back to the tail end there, and our air pressure wasn't working anymore. The track seemed to get a little tighter rubber on it, and we went right to the back, come in, made a change. Everyone else had to pit, and there we are.
How is it watching cars trying to get back on the lead lap when your guy's leading?
Well, you know, it's tough this is NASCAR, and it's so competitive, but Cat Boys is doing good, and the car's running good right now.
All right, they made no changes on their last pit stop, guys. The car is really good for Ward.
Dave, the question I wanted to ask is, they can't make it the rest of the way. They do have to stop again, don't they, Dave?
That is true, Benny. There were a couple of cars, including Dale Jarrett, who did top off just before we went back to green, but he'll have to stop one more time, the 22 car.
And those other cars that did stop, as Bill Weber said on the 48 car, been on the edge of his fuel window. I think a lot of those guys are right on the edge of it.
Hey, we're going to have at least 1 more caution. These guys are going to be coming in for tires. I mean, come on. We got over a quarter of the race still to go.
And right now we have Ryan Newman, the 12 car, and the 17 of Matt Kenseth. Where's the 17 car? Wasn't he behind?
He's behind a lap earlier. 2 flat tires for Matt Kenseth tonight. Yet, he's come back to contend for the win in this thing.
Next week, Loud, New Hampshire, more of the same.
Yeah. Beating and banging and tempers and frustrations.
On a very slick racetrack.
Does it look like 2 grooves at BP, or is it still a groove and a half?
About a groove and a half, I think, right now.
Maybe 3/4? Can I push it that far?
Maybe a groove and 3/4. I'll give you that. Oh, Kenseth, what's he doing? He's slowing down? No, he's on the inside of someone. I looked up and saw the 17, said, what's he doing on the inside? I see what he's doing, trying to pass Mike Skinner in the 4 car. And does.
So Mike's now back a lap down in that 4 car. He's in 24th place. And it is Dale Earnhardt Jr. working that leader over good to try and get back on the lead lap. A lot of guys got trapped a lap down with a caution at lap 208 just after green flag pit stops. Jr. was one of them. Now he's back on the tail end of the lead lap, needing a caution. Here comes Ryan Newman for the race lead.
Newman, he's there. He is there and going to take the lead.
Ryan Newman led 143 laps earlier in this race. Got shuffled back by that same pit stop caution flag sequence that we talked about. A little slide job there. Here comes Kenseth.
Is Kenseth going for the lead? Yes, he is.
Wow, what a run off turn 2.
Man, that 17-to-walk car is fast.
Second time tonight, Matt Kenseth is the race leader. Third to first in a couple of laps. Kenseth already this season has scored 3 victories. Texas, Rockingham, Michigan. Looking for number 4 tonight here in Richmond. Yeah, lead changes, cautions. Tonight we're on the good end of that equation so far. Matt Kenseth out in front, coming up on the 3/4 mark of the Chevy Monte Carlo 400. Back at Richmond, yes, that is the 99 car back on the track. Jeff Burton, after the accident he was in, way back at lap number 10. Check our Napa Field summary. 11 leaders, 14 lead changes, but 10 caution flags. Big story of the race is who's out of it. Sterling Marlin, the championship leader, and second place man Jeff Gordon in points, both done for the day early. Huge opportunity for Mark Martin and Tony Stewart, Rusty Wallace, and some of these other guys to pick up a lot of points tonight.
You know, this is just like in Bristol. All of a sudden we look up with 100 laps to go or so, and here Mike Wallace is in this Conseco Pontiac in 7th position.
Play the pit strategy where the caution flags worked out well for them. They were one of the ones that were still on the track when a lot of those guys got trapped a lap down. Back at, what was that, 208? Got him up into the top 10 then, and he hasn't let it go.
Yeah, he's still running
good enough. That's the big thing.
To hold that position.
He got some very good race cars. Got Jeff Green, got Jimmy Johnson behind him.
So Mike Wallace, in his 11th start of the season, 6th one for A.J. Foyt. Looking to see if he could pick up his season's best finish. He got that 10th at Bristol a couple of weeks ago.
Skinner's not just pulling over for him.
No, he isn't. Oh, a little rub in there coming off turn 2. Little slide job.
Clear. Great for Mike. Tell you, it's tough to get into a car mid-season and try and, pick up the pieces with a team that's been struggling and looking to make a change and get things going. That's a tough job.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, we've seen some cars last night in the Nascar Bristol Series race and tonight in the Winston Cup race. Seen some cars back in the fence. We've seen a lot of damage, and here's why. Rusty Wallace going down in turn 1, 147 miles per hour. Last night, Derek Cope's car. He enters turn 1 at 140 miles per hour. By the time he got to the wall, he had to slow down 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, he hit a ton.
Now, you start talking about hitting a concrete wall at 130 miles per hour, it's going to be a big contact, a lot of damage.
Rusty's got something not right here. He slid all over the place getting off of turn 2, and here comes Tony Stewart blowing right up to his back bumper. He didn't get off of turn 2 at all last time.
Yeah, when we were riding on board, it looked like he slid right up and through the middle of 1 and 2, which really hurt him get off of 2. Tony Stewart made up a lot of ground there.
Gives up 4th place there. So Stewart to 4th, Rusty back to 5th. But he is the farthest forward of any of those with a chance to win $1 million tonight. Matt Kenseth leading Ryan Newman by 5 car lengths. 90 laps to go tonight here in Richmond. Time for our Wrangler 5-star finishes. One of my favorites of all time. Richmond, February 1986. Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, tangle, racing to 5 to go. Through all the carnage, Kyle Petty comes from 5th and gets to the caution flag first and gets his first NASCAR Winston Cup Series win. That was a 5-star finish. And for more on Wrangler 5-star finishes, log on to NASCAR.com. Remember that one, BP?
Oh, yes, I remember that one well.
Old Fairgrounds half mile before the track was remade into its present configuration in mid-'88. Matt Kenseth, the only driver in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series with top 10 finishes in every Winston Cup short track race this season. And he's out in front of Ryan Newman now by 7 car lengths with 81 laps to go. Let's go through the field and start with the leader. Here's Marty.
And he's on his way to scoring a lot more points tonight, Alan. We joked with Matt earlier today. He said here in May, they got 3 laps down. He said he passed about 90 cars tonight. He only got 1 lap down, 2 cut right fronts. He's only passed about 60 cars tonight, running very well up in the lead. Ryan Newman behind him is just a little bit tight. The car is fast. It is not bad. Bill mentioned the talk earlier about Dodge. Ryan Newman and Rusty Wallace possibly going to Dodge next year. I talked to his car owner, Roger Penske. He said he is talking to other manufacturers, but does not expect a decision within the next 3 weeks. But he is talking to all of the manufacturers. Dave?
Marty, the 22 team of Ward Burton did their homework overnight. They were talking about it on the radio today. They asked Ward if the car was still sliding the nose. He said no. We took care of that problem. He's having a great run. Bill?
Tony Stewart's car is not good on restarts. The longer he goes, the better it gets. He just said he's snug in the center, free, off. Some of these guys are going to be able to make it on fuel. Don't be surprised, Marty.
Jeremy Mayfield running in 5th, Bill, the 2-tire stop, holding up pretty well. Ray Abraham told me the goal right now for everyone on the track should be keeping up with the racetrack because it's getting tighter the longer the night goes, Bill.
They made an air pressure adjustment in both the right side tires for Rusty Wallace. But right now, his car is just too tight. Not what he was hoping for here, Matt.
Bill, Mike Wallace on pace for his best career Richmond finish. His best finish before was a 23rd back in '94 on their last stop on lap 273. No adjustments. The car was neutral. Mike Hillman said they may not have to pit again. Marty?
Jeff Green's having a little bit of radio problems. His team cannot hear him under green. They can only hear him under yellow. That causes a problem because if we have green flag pit stops here at the end, they don't know what adjustments to make, but he's been loose all night long. Bill?
Jimmy Johnson just told Chad Knaus the car's really not doing anything I want it to do right now. I'm just trying to find my line. Last time, a half pound out of the right front, 1 round in the right rear because it was tight. Hardy.
Bill, in the last 2 runs, Kevin Harvick's car has come to life. Finished 2nd in this race last year. This car finished 4th at Bristol. He's a little bit loose, but the track's tightening up for him. Alan?
23 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth still out in front. 6 car lengths on Ryan Newman now. And we have 74 laps to go in this one. Let's continue to go through the field. Bill?
Well, Ricky Rudd is running the same times as the leader of the race. Although it's been very quiet on the radio, they have made air pressure adjustments for the next set of tires that they're going to put on this car. But if they have to come in under green, some guys aren't going to take tires. They're just going to do a splash. If indeed they can't make it, Dave.
Bill, when Mark Martin pitted on lap 274, he had complained that the car was a little bit loose. They made a wedge adjustment to cure that. Then Leslie did radio back to Mark. Save fuel. We might be a little shy. Bill?
Good run for Todd Bodine tonight. Did run into that tire from the 2018. Seems to have recovered fairly well from that. The car was was tight in the middle and off, but they didn't make any adjustments. It was just 4 tires and gas last time, Matt.
Marty, Steve Park has faded all the way back to 14. He's settled in. Now he's running lap times, which mirror the leader, Matt Kenseth. He hasn't said anything on the radio. His acting crew chief, Steve Mio, says, just hang in there. You're doing a great job tonight. Meanwhile, Kyle Petty's back in the 15th position. Remember, last year in this race, he was running in the top 10 most of the night and then got caught in pit road and lost a lap. They made a lot of adjustments all day. This car currently runs in the 15th position. He was fighting tight on his last stop.
70 laps to go. Now make it 69 laps to go for Matt Kenseth in search of his 4th win of 2002. He and Ryan Newman out front now, but Tony Stewart trying to claw his way back up.
The Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Brought to you by Old Navy Rugbies. Now available for your whole bunch. By Pep Boys. Help for your car is just a Pep Boys away. Pep Boys, we're car people. And by Sprint PCS. Experience the clear alternative to cellular today.
102,000 seats here at the Richmond International Raceway, all sold out for tonight's Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. And next Sunday, another sellout crowd on hand in New England at the New Hampshire International Speedway. 300 miles of NASCAR Winston Cup racing. You'll see it on NBC starting with Discover Card Countdown to Green at 12:30 Eastern next Sunday. We're seeing Matt Kenseth lead tonight here in Virginia's capital city. 60 laps to go.
All right, Marty, tell me, can the 17 car make it the rest of the way on fuel or not?
You would think so, Vinny, because most of these teams are very close. Most of them can make it, but Matt Kenseth's team cannot. Jack Roush has been down here. He calculated it once. He calculated it again. Both times he came up 5 laps short.
That is surprising. You think these guys always get great mileage.
I mean, he's always the last car to pit, yeah, but tonight they might be doing something different to try to get this car around the racetrack better, and it's working because he is very, very fast.
Maybe it's the gear.
You know, I heard a lot of guys talking about gear in the garage this afternoon, Wally, because, you know, the practice was done earlier in the evening than when they raced, and guys are speculating that they were going to need to put some gear to it to get up off the corners tonight with the track conditions. But, you know, one of the crew chiefs told me, we're taking a chance on not finishing, but I'd rather get up there and run competitively than ride around 20th all night without enough gear.
What they're doing is putting more RPMs to the car, and exactly, Alan, that's going to burn a lot more fuel, so maybe we can find out if that's what the 17 car did.
Aerial views tonight at Richmond, courtesy of our U.S. Army Skycam, United States Army, an Army of one.
And right now, Tony Stewart is faster. Well, that last lap, Matt Kenseth was the fastest car. It really is very, but most laps, Tony Stewart has been faster than Matt Kenseth. The problem is Tony Stewart is almost 4 seconds behind. He's got a lot of ground to make up in just about 60 laps.
And that last lap, you had to pass the car of Brett Bodine there at BP, so I think that's probably what cost him a little bit.
Rusty. Fastest lap among the top 10 that time. How about Tony Stewart, Bill?
It's going to be very interesting, Alan. Mark Quanquist has been figuring the fuel mileage since the last pit stop. He was using a computer to do it. I went up and asked him if he thought the 20 car could make it to the end. He basically said it depends on how gutsy Greg Zipadelli, the crew chief, feels. Then he said, yeah, I think we can make it.
Well, I think you got to go for it if you're that close, right, Benny? I mean, you're going to go for it. You don't want to come down and take fuel and then go, oh, we could have made it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but, and I peeked over his shoulder, and I'm pretty sure it said 399.8.
Oh, well, then you absolutely go for it.
Got to go then. What I was going to say is he's 4th in points. The top 2 in points in the garage early. Maybe has, you know, big picture, maybe has to think a little conservatively.
I don't think so. I think they're thinking about winning the race. I think they'd go for it.
There you go. I'll go with you, Wally. Go for the win.
All right. See how it plays out. Building some drama here toward the finish at Richmond around fuel. trouble here at Richmond. John Andretti is spun off turn 4 into the tri-oval grass.
I don't see a yellow yet, BP.
No caution flag yet.
And there's not going to be one.
Oh, man. Ward Burton, the guys has got to make a pit stop. Desperately wanting a caution flag to do that.
Yeah, because when they come in and make their pit stop now on their green, they are going to lose a lap, maybe 2.
There's your race leader, Matt Kenseth. He's opened up ground. He's doubled his lead on Ryan Newman. It was 0.8 of a second a little while ago. It's 1.9 now.
But Tony Stewart, I said a moment ago he was 4 seconds behind. He's 3.5 seconds behind now. He is gaining a little bit on Matt Kenseth, but I don't think he's got time to catch him unless the 17 car has to stop for fuel.
Let's check out what happened to John Andretti a second ago off turn 4. We kind of catch it in the middle of things.
By himself again.
Yep.
A lot of guys are getting loose here.
Right in front of the leader. And that's why he got such a jump on the 12 car. When he spun, the 12 car jumped on the brakes and allowed the 17 car to get in front of him by a larger distance.
Yep. Story of the night tonight here at Richmond has been the race for the championship. Earlier in the event, lap number 9. Trouble in turn 3. Jeff Burton crashes, and behind it, Sterling Marlin and Jimmy Spencer tangle. Marlin, the point leader, with a heavy contact head-on into the outside wall. He's okay, very sore, but okay, no broken bones, but he will finish last in tonight's race. So that opens things up for Jeff Gordon, right? No! Lap 53, Gordon breaks a camshaft.
Well, a belt, not a shaft, right?
Timing chain belt.
Timing chain belt.
There you go. Sent him to the garage for 200 and something laps, and he is going to wind up finishing either 39th or 40th in tonight's race. Jeff Burton is still out there, and if Jeff can run another 15 laps, Gordon will drop that one spot farther down.
Unbelievable. So, 79 points between 5 drivers.
So Gordon's going to gain points on Marlin tonight, but this thing is going to tighten down like you would not believe heading to New Hampshire next Sunday.
And I talked about Tony Stewart. I've forgotten all about Rusty Wallace, Bill.
Well, I'll just tell him that later, and there's a chance we could be telling him that in Victory Lane. Remember a little while ago, we said that car was too tight? Well, the adjustment they made on it made it a little tighter, but as Rusty goes along, that car is coming to him. As far as fuel mileage is concerned, crew chief Bill Wilburn said, we can make it. There are a lot of creative answers down here when you ask these guys about fuel mileage. He said Rusty can make it, and that might be $1 million bet.
Rusty, one of the 5, racing for Winston's Noble $5 million bonus tonight. You see 3 of them had tough luck. Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip all crashed out. But Rusty, he's got a sniff of it. Mark Martin's back in 15th right now. And, of course, the top 5 finishers tonight will race for the million at Talladega. Back the first weekend of October. 36 laps to go. Who's going to make it on fuel? Who's not going to? Will a caution come out and change this whole thing around? Let's take a commercial break here and come back and set things up for the finish. TNT presents Win the King. You can win a day with Richard Petty in your hometown. NASCAR.com is where you get more information. And tune in to Winston Cup Racing from Dover on September 22nd here on TNT for your chance to win. 29 laps to go. Matt Kenseth's the race leader. Can he make it to the distance on fuel? Ryan Newman is second. There he is, but things are tightening up from 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Rusty Wallace has caught Tony Stewart. Made a move on him a couple of laps ago, but the lap traffic, Tony's not able to keep his car on the bottom right now.
Yep. See that BP got down the middle of the corner, and that car just shot up the racetrack. Opened it up for Rusty.
And Rusty he turned his, and around him, he went.
Tony's lost the forward bite on that car. That's his problem.
So when he steps on the gas to get up off the corner, it won't get up. It's just sliding around. So Tony back to 4th, Rusty to 3rd. Not all that far behind Ryan Newman for 2nd, but they're a long way behind Matt Kenseth, the race leader, and they're running out of laps.
And Ward Burton, we said he was going to have to make a pit stop. Well, he's finally on pit road to get that last drop of fuel. Dave?
BP, this track has so much grip tonight for Ward. He complained that the tires felt like they were rolling off the rims, so they added air pressure all the way around, and then the car started pushing the nose. Ward radioed in a few laps ago, we need to get another right front tire on this car now, and he's also at his fuel window. He had to stop.
Okay. 20 laps. He stopped 20 laps before our leader stopped, so that means they can make it to 394, 6 laps short. But some of them can make it. There's no doubt in my mind some of them can make it.
Matt Kenseth back at lap 68. Had a flat tire. Got to pit road. The caution came out when he had the problem. Got to pit road. Got it changed. Lost a lap. Got the lap back. 166. Had another flat tire. But stayed in sync with the leaders in a whole exchange of pit stops and caution flags and so on just past lap 200. Got back up front, his track position. Has led this race from lap 249 most of the way to right now.
And you see these cars going by. The 43 car, John Andretti, has gone past the 17. Mike Skinner, the 4 car. Kodak car is driven by the 17 car. But these cars have stopped and put on 4 fresh tires. Better grip, so they're able to pass the 17 car. But that has slowed him down. Some of these cars passing has slowed him down to the point that Rusty Wallace is now only 2.5 seconds behind Matt Kenseth.
Matt trying to pick up his 4th win of the 2002 NASCAR Winston Cup season. One of the strongest cars in the season's first half. Checkered flags at Texas, Rockingham, and Michigan for Matt Kenseth. This was the 2nd race of the season when he broke into the winner's circle. Then out in the Lone Star State. And again up in the Irish hills of Michigan. Been a great season for Matt. Had some troubles with some races they failed to finish, though, that's cost him a better shot in the points.
Yeah, it sure has. Hey, Marty.
Yes, BP.
When Jack Rouse said they were going to be 5 laps short, he didn't smile when he said that, did he?
He did not, and he came back for a 3rd time, had a conversation with Robbie Reiser, the crew chief, and confirmed we're going to be 5 laps short. But he also told Robbie in that conversation, I think we should go for it. Now, you don't think they'd be lying to us, do you, BP?
Yeah, they just might. Just might be trying to make us say he can't make it, and the people about to be monitoring us and say, well, they can't make it.
Yeah, back off. They can't make it. You'll pass them when they come in the pits.
Yeah, exactly. Back off. Don't have to run him down. He can't make it.
There you go. Laps since last pitted. Everybody's on equal terms now among the leaders.
I'm thinking they can make it, BP.
Little splash and dash for Jeremy Mayfield. Fuel only, and he heads back out.
Jeremy was in 5th spot. Came in. Not anymore.
Yeah, it's going to drop him way behind. Let's see, where'd Ward Burton end up? Ward ended up a lap down in 20th place after his pit stop. Ken Schrader, 18th place car. Last on the lead lap. No longer. First a lap down now. Let's talk about a couple things we discussed at the top of the night while we start setting up the finish here. Give and take. Did we see it tonight, or did we see more taken than given?
No, I think we saw some situations where there was not give and take, but all in all, I was impressed with the job that the drivers did tonight.
And second groove and the sealer and all that kind of thing. Did we see that second lane come in full?
I don't think we saw it maybe in full.
Second place. And Rusty's through.
And now he takes off at
17 is the only car you got to worry about. He's up ahead.
17 car. That's the guy you got to catch. All right, Weber, tell us more on this gas story.
Doug Ingold is the gas man for Rusty Wallace's 2 crew. A second ago, crew chief Billy Wilburn climbed down off the wagon, said, "Are you sure that you got it full?" And Doug Ingold said, "Yes." Then Billy got back on the wagon and said, "Rusty, drive the wheels off that thing." 51 races since Wallace has gone to victory lane.
Rusty worked with Benny and I, substituting for Wally last night on the NASCAR Busch Series race. Asked him if he thought he had a car to win here tonight, and he said he hesitated for just a second, and then he said, yeah, I do. I think we're going to be good.
Well, I was on an important assignment.
Yes, you were. But we're glad to have you back.
Sure. There you are, Alan.
I said that in all sincerity.
Rusty Wallace, once he got by the 12 car, but that time Rusty Wallace slipped up in the third and fourth corner, lost some time. Well, didn't lose that much time.
Yeah, he's hunting the groove, BP. Yeah. He's trying to find where that car's going to grip best.
Keep after. Looking outside. Here.
Is Mike Wallace out of gas?
He came on the radio and yelled, I'm out of gas, I'm out of gas. All the guys jumped up on the wall. They've got a can ready to put fuel in the car. They're waiting for him.
A fifth place run going. And Rusty Wallace must be out of gas. Something's going on with Rusty.
Off the pace, turn 2, right front's down.
Right front
Look
is
at the car
down.
leaning.
Get right side.
Yeah.
Rusty Wallace loses a right front. He was closing on Matt Kenseth.
And he almost in exactly the same spot as in the spring when Ricky Rudd was going by when Rusty went up the racetrack and spun the leader out. Remember that?
Well, there's been a lot of right front tire problems tonight.
Yeah, Rusty's one of them. He lost a right front earlier, remember?
Yep. There's a bad joke available there that he drove the wheels off the car.
There you go. You said it.
Well,
I don't think I'm not going to hear about that.
Yeah.
I'm the master of bad jokes, I know.
Literally.
All right, so now Matt Kenseth is 4.5 seconds up on Ryan Newman. Fuel is questionable. Now he's really going to roll out of the gas, right?
Oh, yeah. He's really going to try to roll out of the gas early and not stomp on the gas. Just easy back into it. All right, Snyder, they still going for it?
They're still going for it, but they just put the crew on alert. They sent the gas man by the gas can, said, get ready. They thought Rusty Wallace had run out of gas. There was a bit of panic down here, but they think they're going to be okay.
Oh, now they're okay.
Now they're okay, yeah.
Well, a little while ago, they were 5 laps short.
Now it's wait and watch time. They pitted with 126 laps to go. We've seen Kyle Petty on pit road to get fuel in the last couple of moments. He's back on track. Who else might run out? Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, Jeff Green, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace is rejoined 2 laps down in 20th place.
Think that guy's sweating bullets right now, Benny?
Man. Man, I hope I don't have to go to work. Please don't put me to work, Matt. I don't put any gas in that car.
As easily as he's holding that can doesn't have much gas in it.
All right, 5 to go.
Bobby Gordon on pit road. Believe he was being shown the black flag for smoke coming from his car. And we watch Matt Kenseth.
And I'm told that the 20 car, Tony Stewart.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks like he's out of fuel, right, Dave?
Tony just radioed in. I think I got a transmission problem. I don't have any gears.
Oh, my goodness. You really thought he was out of fuel. Now, that's got to be scaring the 7, all these guys to death, not knowing what's wrong with the 20, thinking he's out of gas.
And look at Tony running in, what, 3rd or 4th spot?
Yeah.
Look at all the points he just lost in the last 5 laps of this race.
Yep. He was 4th in points coming in. And he's not making the minimum speed, so he's going to have to get pulled in. And will not finish.
But he made another lap. He got 1 more lap out of the way.
All right, let's keep an eye on this leader. See if that thing hiccups on him. 2.5 laps to go.
Looks like Schrader ran out of gas. Let's push start in that car.
Yep.
2 more laps.
Everybody's running out. Be careful here.
30's out of gas?
That's
Kevin Harvick?
That's Kevin Harvick. Harvick looking for fuel, sloshing that thing back and forth. All right, 3/4 of a mile for Matt Kenseth. 1 more lap to go. Final lap at Richmond. Katie's watching. They've got a vacation home up in their native Wisconsin they like to go to get away from it all. If they go there tomorrow, they can celebrate win number 4 of 2002. And Matt Kenseth has won the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 at Richmond.
We knew he could make it, Benny.
Ryan Newman second. Jeff Green got third. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came all the way back from a lap down to fourth. And Todd Bodine gets a top 5. Highest up guy in the championship, Mark Martin. He finishes 6th. Tony Stewart, who fell out in the last laps, is going to wind up 30th. Short tracks have been pretty good to Kenseth this year, Marty.
Robbie Reiser, I guess the statement, it made it.
Well, we didn't probably deserve that tonight. I shouldn't say we. This race team deserves it. Matt Kenseth deserves it, but made some mistakes on the tires and probably could have cost ourselves a race car and a race driver. We should have never done that, but figured it out and got it working here by the end of the race and took a gamble on this field. And Matt did a heck of a job conserving the field at the end, and we had a good race car. And I'm really proud of this race team and everyone at Roush Racing. I appreciate everything.
Were you really 5 laps short?
Yeah, we were 5 laps short, and I told Matt about halfway through the run, and I think he was more worried about the tires than what he was about the field. So we're pretty fortunate here tonight.
Brought it home for the 4th win of the season, Alan.
Matt Kenseth with his first short track win in Winston Cup competition came back from 2 flat tires and a lap down to take the victory tonight.
The Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 with the Looney Tunes. Brought to you by Team Monte Carlo. The cars more champions depend on. Chevy will be there. By Walmart. Always low prices. Always. And by Discover Card. It pays to discover.
And we're here in Victory Lane. Matt Kenseth with an outstanding performance and his 4th win of the season. He has 125 members of his fan club here. They have come from all across the country, and they saw what they came here to see. A win. Congratulations.
Thanks. That was pretty fun. Fun when you don't know if you got enough fuel or not. I wasn't worried about the fuel. I was more worried about the tire. You know, we blew 2 tires early in the race, and I thought we had too much camber in it. I didn't think it was going to make it. So I was more concerned about that. It's just this 12-4 Taurus was a bad machine tonight. I mean, we didn't even really run it hard. When we got up front there, I was worried about that tire. So we just ran as hard as we had to run, and I haven't had one this hooked up. This is a brand new car all my guys built, and I'm really proud of them.
You weren't worried about fuel?
I wasn't too worried about it. They told me I was 5 laps short, and they always are pretty conservative, so I figured I could save 5 laps. Being up front to try to save the right front tire, I was trying to let off early and not getting the brakes too hot, so I was letting off the gas real early. I was running the bottom the whole time, so I figured I was saving a little bit.
That's 4 wins for you this season?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That seems unbelievable.
How about that?
We got really good equipment this year, Jack, and everybody's been doing a great job. The motor shop's been doing a really good job of stepping up the program and giving us better motors at the big tracks and at the short tracks for power. So it's been a lot of fun to drive these machines this year.
Congratulations. Matt Kenseth in Victory Lane. Dave?
Ryan Newman second again. I think I set you up for this because I said you had 4 seconds at the beginning of the show. This was the 4th. Why couldn't you catch him at the end?
I knew you made a mistake there.
Yeah, you did.
But, I guess reading the future was your deal today. Good run for the Alto Ford. You can ask only a little bit better than second place, and we're asking for it, but we're happy with second. It's satisfying, but yet it's disappointing in some respects. Good effort all day for the Alto Ford. Great pit stops. RP and all the guys were here, and good run, good in front of them.
RP is Roger Penske. It's always good to do well in front of the boss. Alan?
Time for the Autotrader.com move of the race. Survey says...
I think Matt Kenseth, for that right front tire goes flat, he somehow saves it, doesn't hit the wall, comes back and wins the race.
That was lap 68. And by unanimous nomination, Matt Kenseth wins the Autotrader.com move of the race nod tonight. Moment ago, Matt Yoakum talked to Rusty Wallace.
Well, Rusty Wallace, do you believe that luck?
No, I don't. I don't believe it. It's just, man, it's sickening. Early in the race, we had a right front go down, so I put some more air back in the tire and ran. And then we just get all out and fighting like hell trying to get past those guys, and finally got past everybody who's trying to run Kenseth down and win that race, get that million, and son of a gun if it doesn't go down again. I felt it about 4 laps before that. I said, oh, God, don't let this be again. And sure enough, it went down, and just sickening, man. I tell you what, I thought it was going to be a second place for sure, and never believed we were going to lose a tire.
Rusty Wallace chasing $1 million, leaves Richmond with a 15th place finish.
Let's check out how they ran tonight here in Richmond in the Chevy Monte Carlo 400.
That's phenomenal that Junior would come back fourth. I mean, that 8 car at the end of the race was by far the fastest car out there. It looked like their car last night.
Todd Bodine, first top 5 of the season. Dave Blaney equaling his best finish of the year.
Mike Wallace, after running out of fuel, is able to salvage a 12th place finish.
Bill Elliott started at the back because his team lost an engine yesterday in practice, but soldiered his way halfway through the field. And Tony Stewart.
What might have been.
Jeff Burton coming out and motoring back around, kicked Jeff Gordon another spot down in the final standings tonight. Burton finished in 39th. Jeff Gordon finished in 40th. And last in the field, Sterling Marlin, the championship leader coming into the race. So, what did it do to the championship? Oh, my goodness. 9 points to second, 146 to sixth.
Bill Elliott only 184 back in 7th spot. And Ryan Newman in 10th. He's only 271 back.
Last year at this time, it was 360 points from first, 342 points from first to second. So how about that? Our Looney Tune results for the night.
Had a rough night.
Daffy Duck got the best of them.
Jeff Green, he had a great run. He told me this today in the garage here. He would be good. He was.
The marketing manager for Chevrolet Monte Carlo with the trophy presentation. Gary.
And as far as the Noble 5 is concerned, didn't get one tonight. Top 5 finishers tonight will try for it in Talladega in early October. Next weekend, coverage of NASCAR moves to NBC. It's the New Hampshire 300 from Loudon, New Hampshire. And the New Hampshire International Speedway coverage at 12:30 Eastern on Sunday with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Next on TNT, Lethal Weapon on the East Coast and on Deadly Ground on the West Coast. The night started with a salute to American heroes and concluded with a racing hero, Matt Kenseth, celebrating his 4th victory of 2002. Kenseth has won tonight here at the Richmond International Raceway. So long from Virginia.